And we are live. Welcome to the city. This is your host, the box office hit global phenomenon, Kevin Impact. Bear with me today. We're going to have some issues. My phone's acting up. So I'm going to do my very best to be able to conduct this show, give you the best that I can. Um, if we do go off the air by chance, we will be back. So just bear with me. And we're going to be having Maverick in the studio today. He's going to be coming in shortly. It should be fun. I think you guys are going to enjoy this episode a lot, probably a lot more than I'm going to enjoy it, or at least try to enjoy it with all the madness going on here with my phone. But nonetheless, we'd like to welcome you to the show, and the show begins right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tuning in worldwide, whether you're watching this live or later on, this is episode 10, City of Impact. I got Maverick with me coming into the studio momentarily. Um, this man's been around for quite some time. I think his credentials for JTV legend are arguable at this point with the time he's put in since 2006. Excuse me, 2016, I should say. And hopefully this is going to go well. Um, I'm going to take the time right now to bring Maverick in. And I want to say to everybody tuning in, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, wherever you're at in the world. And I also would like to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors, Heel Turn, for sponsoring not just this video, but also our channel, showing us support, and all of our great partners, along with JTV Wrestling and everybody else who supports us worldwide to keep this show going. Those actually putting the effort in and care. And this is what this is all about. You know, we're going to be discussing CAW wrestling today with Maverick. There's different dates that I hope I can share with y'all. Hopefully, I'm able to pull up my notes without any issues or us being removed from the air because of my issues with my phone. So, without further ado, please welcome our guest at this time coming to the stage. We've got Maverick. Welcome to the show, Mab.
How's it going, everybody? Glad to be here. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it also. I'm not looking forward to getting kicked off the air and restarting, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We're going to make the first attempt, and if things go south, then they go south. So we're live right now. I'm going to try to look at my notes and switch over to Facebook to see if I can look at my notes so that I can talk some stuff with you. And hopefully that goes well. So let's see. Give me one moment.
I also like to point out while Jay is doing that and working on that, um, we've also over here in Kentucky where I live got some issues going on with weather, and so gonna try to make this a good podcast for you guys today, and try to do what we can. Obviously, may have to leave at some point throughout it. Probably I've talked to him a little bit about this yesterday. May need to kind of cut it short a little early. I will be sure to let him know that. But we're going to try to make it the best show that we can while we've got the time and while I'm here. So again, looking forward to it.
Absolutely, and I heard every word that you said, and it looks like we are going to actually be able to do it, and I should be able to look at my notes because I was able to check, and I heard everything you said, and we're still here. So hopefully, it keeps going well. Let's be positive, and like Maverick said, he's having issues with this weather, and I'm having issues with my phone. So me and him are going to be as professional as we always are to try to bring you the best of ourselves that we could possibly can. Okay. So we like to welcome everybody tuning in, everybody in the comment section. Much love to y'all. Much love to y'all. And it's another reason why Maverick is actually coming on early here today. I think Maverick is making history here today as the earliest guest I've ever had on the City of Impact. But you know what I mean? Maverick has been known to hack the system and to break rules, and he's doing it here today. So
Saw what you did
without
there.
further,
That was good.
yes, sir. Okay, are you still able to hear me?
Yeah, yeah, all good.
Okay. You can still hear me?
Yep, yep, all good.
Okay, I got a date for you just to jump into the mix. So August 14th, 2016. Maybe this date rings a bell for you. It's very symbolic, is this date, because this was the date of your debut in JTV Wrestling.
It's true. Yep.
This is Next Gen episode 6. For those looking for it on YouTube or going to look for it on YouTube, episode 6, you had an opportunity to walk into JTV unknown. Uh, you got an opportunity to have two back-to-back matches that didn't necessarily go your way. With one, Slade, for those who might remember him. Um, Slade was a pretty big deal back in the day, back at that time in Next Gen, before he decided to just oddly take his ball and just go home permanently. And then there was a bit of it was going to be a bit of a resurface around the time me and Shendon were working on Vendetta, the pay per view event in Kuwait, and we actually did talk to the guy and was trying to negotiate with him to bring him back to JTV. Conversations were going well to our knowledge. Everything went fantastic. And one really awkward video chat with myself, him, Shen, and Corey, which he acted really erotic and really strange. I won't go too much into detail on that, but he was just, we got to see him, and I was actually excited to see him physically, to see him, on camera. I was very proud of this kid. He had been around for a little bit. I was excited for him to come back. Then just out of nowhere, I got deleted. I got deleted. Don't know what happened. There was no explanation of any kind, and that deal kind of fell through. Um, any thoughts on him on your part, and what was the actual thought when you decided to make the move and come to the pro wrestling circuit, Maverick?
Yeah, so obviously, Slade, um, for me, was an interesting person, especially for my first time in JTV. Didn't really know what to expect, and so I got a little bit to expect from there. Um, Not really much, on him that I can say.
Right.
Again,
Same
I don't
here.
have a lot of thoughts on him. What was it? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it just any thoughts on him at all, and then also the thought process that went into making the move, to reaching out to us and going, hey, I need to join this promotion. I need to wrestle there. I need to be a part of this.
Yeah. So, I remember, and if I'm remembering correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. So I remember I used to be in this group of friends, and we were joining different places, going to different things, and I just remember one of my friends being like, "Hey, I found this thing. that might be kind of cool. Maybe we should reach out, maybe join." And I was like, "Okay, sure, let's do it." And obviously they introduced me to JTV. I was like, "Man, this is actually kind of sick, kind of cool. I would
And
love
when
to
we talk,
get
you
this."
talking about King Donnie and the other one? I can't remember them too
Yes.
well.
Yeah,
Okay,
it was
okay.
King Donnie and Natural Guru, and
Natural
we
Guru,
yep,
Natural Guru, and King Donnie. I remember them. They lasted about 2 matches before they were gone. Maybe like
yeah,
one. Then they came in for like one match.
yep, and so again, it was one of those things that we were one of those groups that we went together. We either did something together or we didn't do something together, and I started to kind of get a little bit annoyed at that. And
Really?
I remember when this happened, there was only like three of us that ended up actually going. It was me and them two, and I know the others wanted to join. There was about 6 or 7 of us that kind of just hung out, and they were like, "Man, I want to do that too." And then I remember there was one person specifically in the group that was like, "Man, y'all need to get out of there. That's not a good place to be." Blah blah blah. And and then I
Who the
remember
hell said
we just
that?
left.
Let's be specific on this show. Somebody in
Well,
that crew you was in?
yeah. So I don't
Oh, okay.
know. I don't
Oh,
know if
if
you
I
all
don't know them, it kind of don't matter if I don't know them then.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you remember them or not, but his name was Bryce King. Um,
No, I don't know no Bryce King. I remember
yeah,
Donnie
yeah,
and I remember Natural Guru.
yeah,
I remember
yeah,
them tagging up. I remember them y'all being a clique back in Next Gen in 2016, being a bit of a clique. And the interesting thing about that is that they weren't like an on-screen clique; they were like a locker room clique, like the clique. And they rode together a little bit, but Maverick always kind of did his own thing and wanted to do his own thing. He wasn't like, war rating, so to speak. He was just like himself, but those were his boys. And I think it's safe to say they had a little bit of influence over you, I think, in your career.
yeah. No, for sure. Obviously, um, I ended up not doing anything that you would tell me to do, and I remember just without saying a word, leaving and dipping and not saying anything, and I hated that. I really did. Obviously, I came in as I don't know if this is going to be something that you talk about here soon, um, but I do remember coming in as Tyler Storm, um, which is wild to say. Um, but yeah, that was uh, that was a weird time. Again, like I said, I don't know if that's something you're going to bring up
We
here
could talk
shortly.
about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, this podcast is supposed to be edgy and controversial anyway, so we could go anywhere we need to go. I mean, we're telling a story. We're not here to bash anybody, nothing like that. We're telling the story. We're talking about your career. So the conversation could go wherever it needs to go. The mic is all yours, brother. Ain't nobody gonna censor you here. you
Yeah.
know.
Well, again, that's really all I have to say about that. I mean, again, it was one of those that was I hated that I did it. I hated that I left. I really did want to stick around, but I was influenced. And so yeah, it was not a great time
So so
for
they
me.
encourage
Yeah,
you. They encourage you to just quit at the time.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
It was one of those things that, like I said, they were one of those that was like, man, I don't know about this place. Maybe we should just quit it. And so I
Yeah.
did, and I
They
hated it.
had a bad experience. They had a bad experience because they had a match. Uh, I think they was going against Southside Gang. If y'all remember them, it was the Funk Man. It was Zay, their cousin, and then it was Tay, his brother.
Mm.
And they had a tag team match, and it was a working match. And the thing about Donnie and Natural Guru is that I think they were too young to really understand the business aspect of how things work. We were kind of giving them the opportunity to work an easy team for an easy win just to make a nice debut. And I don't think they understood that. I think their notion of the situation was they'd had a match with Tay. I think it was Tay or Zay and Funkman, and they completely destroyed them within seconds. Um, the opportunity was a chance for them to get on TV, do some moves, put on a bit of a performance, and then just beat them. And instead, what they actually did is they went into the match and just squashed them like nothing, and then came out of that experience thinking this place fucking sucks. You know what I mean? These guys can't wrestle or something like that. At least that's how I took it. So I think they took that and just took us as comedy at the time because of that, instead of going, well, this is an opportunity for us to make an impact. They didn't look at it that way. They look at it like they wanted competition then and there, which I can respect that. But jumping to that conclusion without actually really knowing me and not realizing all the talent that we had in JTV was just big miss opportunity on their part. Um, no hard feelings or anything like that. I didn't have an issue with them. I did have interest in them sticking around and maybe working towards the tag titles in the future along with you, but it just wasn't there. And to be completely honest, I didn't really like them that much. I got along with you. I didn't really like them that much, and I can go on record and say that. But at the same time, I didn't know them that well to like them like that. You know what I mean? But they just really seemed like locker room cancer at the time. They just seemed really toxic, and you seemed like the one to go to. And I've seen Donnie. I've ran into him a couple of times at different promotions, not prior to that, after he had left. Years back, like I've seen them in other places, and I still wish both of them boys the absolute best. You know what I mean? But I don't feel like I missed out on anything. If I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with you, then yeah, it definitely would have been a missed opportunity, because it's been a privilege not just working with you in CAW, but also, outside of wrestling, being your friend and being close. I mean, we're brothers, and that's what it is. You get kayfabe it or not, but I got a lot of respect for you. You've come a long way from being a boy to being a man. So kudos to you for that. If there's something else you want to add, I'm listening.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more on them. Obviously, I haven't. I'll be honest. It's been
I mean, you can't
years.
disagree if you want to, but that's only my opinion. That's the beauty of this show. I don't want people to come on this show and just agree with everything I'm saying. You can disagree if you want to, but that's my opinion. That's all that is. If you
Yeah,
disagree that they're amazing people, whatever you want to say, you say your story. That's my story and my experience with them. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
yeah. No, no. What I was gonna say was, I haven't talked to them in probably over 2 years.
Oh wow.
So I don't necessarily disagree with you. Um, and I've just had a time where I needed to get away from that and be somewhere
Yeah.
else, and so it's been
Where did,
it's
where
been
did you
better.
meet those guys, by the way?
Um, so we span all the way back to the PS3. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, we met on WWE 13. That was the very first game that we all met on and
Okay.
started playing. Um,
Okay.
and what'd you say?
No, I'm listening. I'm saying okay.
Okay,
I'm listening to you.
gotcha. Yeah, so we met on PS3 WWE 13. We actually all met in an elimination chamber match, and that was the time when the game chat was the big thing. It
Okay.
wasn't a party chat. It wasn't anything like that. It was a group chat, or it was a chat in the game, and so we were all in there and just talking. And I remember that I met two guys, and then Donnie and Guru came in, and they had never met these people before in their entire life. Um,
Right.
and so we ended up um, all getting added and just sticking together and hanging out and playing WWE every time we got. Um, and then we moved over to PS4. Um, and then probably around, I want to say 2019, 2020, it kind of just stopped. And we
Mm.
did not hear from one another again. Like it had been, man, I don't know. Like I said, it's been quite a while. I would say it's probably been over 3 years since I've actually heard from any of them. So yeah, so it's been quite a while. So I mean, I don't necessarily disagree with you at all on what you said. I think I agree with you more than I disagree. So yeah, I think that's all
Yeah.
I have on that part.
Yeah, and like I said, when I here to bash anybody, I just told my experience. I get a bad rap in this industry for being the guy that is like toxic and all this other stuff because today, the truth is considered not good or not okay. If you're honest, people don't like that. They want you to be fake and kind of just run along those lines. I don't really do that because I'm not really good at it. And I don't apologize for that. I tell you exactly what it is, whether you like it or not. I don't give a damn what show I'm on. I was on Heel Turn. We recorded for Heel Turn last night, and now it's public. It's the show's out for those that want to check it out. Um, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But whether I'm on that show or any show, I'm going to give you my opinion, whether you like it or not. You don't have to agree. That's the beauty of things. But I like to tell it like it is, and a lot of people just don't like that because they followed the same fake hocus pocus bullshit, and that's not how I work. I'm my own leader, and just like how you lead the freak show, and we're going to get to that. It's really how you have to be. You have to be a leader. But are you a leader of the freak show? We're going to
Yeah.
get to that as we continue talking. But we're having fun here. I've been excited. I've been looking forward to this conversation for the longest time, and I want to invite everybody in the comment section. If you have questions, feel free to post them in that area. Whatever questions you might have for the Maverick of JTV and CW Wrestling, he's talking here with us live. Make sure you smash that like button, show him some love, and as well as JTV. Let me see what else is on my notes though. All right, I got another day for you.
Okay.
I got July 13th, 2018. And before we get to that day, keep that in mind. Uh, Obviously, Maverick explained his exit from JTV in 2016. He was influenced by some of his cronies in that, which I don't even remember what that team's name was on Next Gen, with all due respect. But Maverick was out after two matches in JTV, and then he had reached back out to me to come back. We negotiated a deal, and by this date, he saw himself returning in London, England, cutting a promo announcing that he had returned and proclaiming that he wanted to become world heavyweight champion one day in the future. Um, when, where, and why was the decision made to come back to JTV? What was the thought process, and what was the feeling being back?
So this is kind of a tough one. So I remember I was still hanging out with them, with the group, and I just remember saying to myself, I was like, I kind of want to step away and go do my own thing and be a part of my own thing. Um,
Yeah.
and so I remember I was scrolling through my PS messages one day, and it was actually funny. Your name popped up, and I was like, oh, I haven't talked to him in forever, and I remember saying, okay, if I want to do this, then I'm gonna try it. And so I remember sending you a message, and I remember after that just spamming you with messages. Because I hadn't heard anything from you, and I just kept texting and texting and I was like, eventually he'll respond, either with a yes, no, or a maybe, or And I I remember one day, I saw that you had responded, and I was like, oh snap! I was like, this is either a yes, no, or a maybe. And I remember you saying
Yeah.
that you in your creative team, is how you put it, we're discussing, and that you were trying to decide what to do, and how you wanted to do it. And I remember you saying that and saying that you wanted to talk to me, and I will admit, I got a little nervous, and I was like, why am I nervous about this? This is strange. And I think it was also because, like, I was so used to being with them in like leagues and things like that, and I didn't really know what to do. I didn't know what to expect, um, especially with it being just me now. And so I remember coming into the party chat with you, and I want to say, I could be wrong, but I want to say it was you, SYM, and I could be wrong on this one too, but I also want to say it was Corey, and I don't know that for sure.
Okay.
um, but I do remember that, in meeting SYM and Corey. I knew Corey a little bit,
Yeah.
from when I was first year. I remember people talking about him and seeing things about him, but
Right.
I had never just met him. And so, uh, the first time I ever met SYM, and I remember, you know, us discussing on what the plan was. I remember you telling me you're going to come back, you're going to be on this show, you're going to do this. And,
Yeah.
you know, when I did it, when I did the match, it was fun. Um, and but I think the best part was when the YouTube, when the actual show came out, um, and being able to watch it and see the entrance that we had put together. You know, the way it looked and the way it did, and because I remember telling you my vision and telling you the idea that I had, and I remember you saying yes, let's
The
do it.
hacking thing. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
He
Um,
came back with the hacking thing.
Yeah, and the theme song and everything, I just thought it went super well and super put together.
I agree.
I loved the way that my attire was and everything. The match I thought was great. Thought it could have been better. I think I was a little nervous though when we taped it. Um, but again, it was one of those things that, again, kind of nervous. But I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I remember saying that I was glad to be back when I watched it. So yeah, and I think that's still true to this day. So yeah.
Yeah, that to me was kind of special because I think I was starting to understand the type of superstar you were. It took me a little bit of time, but I mean, I thought I saw something in you different than Donnie and them. And it was really disappointing when you walked away in 16, 2 years later to come back. I was just like, I do remember him. It's been 2 years, but I mean, my thing is the same with Johnny Franchise, and I'm sure he'll be on here eventually. And you always think about it, and you always wonder who's always ever going to come back. Like it becomes interesting over time. Like who would reach out? Who's willing to do themselves a favor? Because I take a lot of pride in people having a good run in wrestling and CAW, and I know how to put my ego and my personal feelings for you to the side. I mean, I had my issue with Jaden Nix and a bunch of other people that's on the roster and not on the roster, and I've always been able to make that to different sort of my personal feelings on that person and the thought that this is a gaming community, it's professional wrestling, and people deserve an opportunity to, if they really, really want to be here, then it's not fair that I be able to gatekeep, you know what I mean, and sort of stop them from doing it. Um, and that is what I've kept in mind anytime I've had issues with anybody. It happened with Corey Flash when we had our falling out and everything, So a lot of these guys, they really got to come back, including you, not so much so because I wanted them to come back or because I said it's okay or not okay, but simply because of the fact that they showed enough interest to want to come back. And it happened with Ray also, Burke Lawson, and also Devin Kiloa. These guys wanted to come back. And, over time, when somebody's just asking and asking and asking over time, I'm not particularly someone that enjoys having someone beg, beg, and beg. There's people that
Yeah.
are into it. I'm not really into that shit. If you're asking enough time, in my mind, that tells me this person really wants to be a part of this, and I think this person is really sorry about what they did, and I should at least talk with them like an adult. You know what I mean? Now, I've said this a million times on these shows and on wrestling, on JTV and everything. There's people I cannot do that with anymore. You know, I just can't do that with just anybody anymore.
Yeah.
But there's people who the door's not closed. You know what I mean? All you got to do is talk to me like an adult, and we could bridge that gap. Our personal issues with each other is completely different than what JTV wrestling is. JTV is our show. That belongs to all of us. That's where we go when we want to do our shit and have fun and send a message to the world. That's different. That's a playground that we go to. But our personal shit, if you got personal issues with your friends, man, you got to reach out to them. You got to talk to them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why Nick Kaiken came on here, and he was sending a message to a lot of people, and he said, he's open to talk to some people, and some people I don't know. You know what I mean? And there's been people in the past that have come here said the same, and it's the same with me. You know what I mean? So you never did anything to me, Maverick. You never
Yeah.
did a damn thing to me. You've been nothing but loyal to JTV, and you've been a bit of a workhorse. You've limited yourself, or life has limited you in certain aspects, certain times in your career, but you've never done anything to me or to JTV. You've always been super supportive and an incredible individual. So at the time you reached out to me, maybe you quit, but I mean, sometimes it happens. Sometimes people need to quit and reassess what they did. Um, you and Johnny Franchise coming back as being, class of 2016 and whatnot, it made me proud that y'all came back, because I didn't know Johnny Franchise would ever come back. I didn't know you would ever come back. I was still holding out on El Poison to come back, if you remember that guy from Next Gen. Like I'm like, if he ever hits me up, I might do something dope with him. But no, it just hasn't happened. He just went away and just never came back. There was another guy in Next Gen that I like. He went by the name Bruce Waukee. And I like how he talked, because he had like that Rey Mysterio rasp. He goes, Waukee, the man, yeah. So
Oh,
I kind of wanted that guy.
so
What you got?
actually, I
Oh,
want
you
to
know
cut
him?
you off.
You know him?
Um,
Here we
so
go.
so Bruce Waukee.
Uh-huh.
That's the guy I was telling you about earlier. He was
Oh,
also
man.
in our
Oh,
group.
he was in the crew.
When I asked you if you knew him, yeah, that was him. He he was the one that always tried to be like, oh, I'm the leader of us, so I think this is what we should do. And it was actually funny. It wasn't even Guru and Donnie that was the ones to say get out of here. It was actually him. He was
Right.
the one that was telling everybody to leave. And I could be wrong, but I feel like there was another guy, Randy Keel, that was here as well. Um,
Oh, shit, I remember
and
him. Yeah, Randy Kill.
yes, so that was
Yep,
all
I
of
remember
us.
him.
That was all, and I don't know if Seth Blake was here or not. Um,
Seth
but
Blake, man. Oh, man, I remember Seth Blake. Yeah.
yeah, so
He
that was
came,
all
he
of
came to
us.
me one time. He came to me
Yeah,
one time, and he was like, oh, I got another company making me an offer and stuff like this. They got this amount of subscribers. They get these amount of views. If you can match this or whatnot, or do this, I love to stay and stuff like that. It was like the conversation between Vince and Kevin Nash, or Scott Hall, whatever it was. And I told them, I'm like, that's not how we work here. We're trying to build going forward. And if you feel like you can get your stuff in better over there, then you go over there. He's like, all right, well, I'm out of here. I'm like, well, see you later. See you later,
yeah.
Seth Blake. You know,
Well,
I don't
so
think he
all of that.
even made it to TV. I don't think he made it to TV. He was trying out for JTV for a little bit, and I was getting kind of hyped about him because he had a good look. And this
Yeah,
is, I don't think he was pre Seth Rollins. How can I explain this to you? He was like around in 2016. Seth still hadn't done the Seth Rollins that he is now. He was that before Seth, because at the time Seth was doing the authority shit or whatever it was called. Seth
yeah,
Rollins was doing the authority thing, but Seth Blake was really like the Seth Rollins of the current era back then. So I give the
Yeah.
guy credit. He had a good look and everything, but it was just like when he pretty much let it be known that he wasn't going to be a company guy, he was going to be like a clout guy. I was just like, ugh. I'm like, I'm not interested. You know what I mean? Because I had that
Yeah.
issue with Ray Geddes, and God bless Ray Geddes. You know, Ray Geddes back in the day was he told a few lies. He told a few lies. He spread word to CAW that I guess JTV held him back and whatnot, which was never true. Ray Geddes was on a developmental program and he wanted to be just bolted to the main roster. And I said no. I said no because everybody had to pay their dues from King Leo to whomever, no kills. Everybody paid their dues before him. So I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that because that's not fair. I'm not just going to jump and skip you. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to go somewhere else. And he certainly went somewhere else, got handed a world title after like 2 or 3 matches and nothing, made a name for himself. Good for him. But I mean, it's been a lot of people, but let me give you the mic
Yep.
back.
Yeah, no, but like I was saying, they were the ones that was a part of it. And so yeah, no, I agree with you. People come and go. And
Right.
I've been here and I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of people disappear.
Absolutely.
Obviously we'll talk about it here in a little bit. I'm sure it's probably going to be one of the biggest things that we talk about. But there were a couple
He's in
people.
there. He's on my list.
Huh?
He's on my list.
I don't know which one you're talking about. Which one? What did you say?
Well, which wolf are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Well, I was saying there's quite a few that is
Is he,
left.
is he a king? Did he used to be a king?
Maybe it's possible, but
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
he's probably one of them out of the many that you and I are probably going to discuss throughout the
Yeah.
day or throughout this
Okay.
time that we have. Um, but yeah, no, I mean,
There was another one, wasn't there? There was
yeah,
another one during a certain era
yeah,
around the time you were
um,
around.
yeah, it's true. But yeah, so I mean, people come and go all the time, and so those were some people that came and went, and they're kind of in the past for me now,
Okay.
and so yeah,
Yeah. I really don't want to live my life hating anybody. I love JTV and his history. I love I respect every single performer that's ever wrestled in our ring for the legacy they left behind, whether we have personal issues or not. I just love our history. We keep building on it. It makes me feel real good. We got Nick Kaiken in the comments section. He hasn't even stepped foot in the JTV ring yet, and it makes me proud that he's had something to do with us because this is a guy that's been in FAM, which is interesting because FAM, has been around for quite some time. And as the owner of JTV, I do acknowledge them as one of the goats of CAW. They've been around for quite a while, along with other promotions. So I feel good about the history we have. I could definitely talk about matches and everybody else, whether I got an issue with them or not. Sometimes creative tells me we shouldn't mention certain people, but I don't know, man. I'm old and I'm not scared of anything. I don't really work that way. I say whatever I want to whomever I want. So, let's have some fun with this. You got something you want to say before I ask you about my next question?
no, yeah, go ahead. And I mean, I'm the same way. I don't care to mention people and talk about people. Um, some of them I may get a little upset about, some of them I might not, but I guess we'll see.
Well, in your return to JTV on the same night in England, you had put down Zay, which was a member of the Southside Gang. I don't know if you have any thoughts of him. I don't expect you to. It was just a one-time thing. But match got done. You got the dub. You cut your promo. You're back in JTV wrestling. And then we start getting to talking, and you start pawning this thing on me that I'm not too sure about because I was kind of confused about where we were headed with Maverick. Because up to the point that I've got to know you in 16 up to 18, I haven't seen anything wrong with Maverick.
Yep.
Nothing. I liked everything I saw. I was enjoying him as a character, and he looked even more dope in 2K18. So in
Yep.
my mind, I'm like, he's perfect. All I have to do is work with him, give him the spotlight, my advice, and just make sure I book him good. But you start talking to me, and you're trying to hit me with this whole, well, I was thinking of changing my name to what was it, Tyler Storm. And
Yep.
I'm like, oh man. I'm like Tyler Storm. I was just so against it because it's like I seen too many storms in call. You know what I mean? It was just too many. Marcus, when he first came in, was going by Marcus Storm when he was on Next Gen, and I had issues with it, but I wanted to give him the opportunity to grow. You know how Next Gen was back in the day, was all about giving an opportunity for somebody to fuck up and just grow from it, and that's why a lot of people felt comfortable there. You know what I mean? Like a certain person we're getting ready to talk about in a bit. But um yeah, I mean, the Tyler Storm thing went on, and before I even mention the guy that I'm about to mention, what was the deal with Tyler Storm? I'm curious about that, man. Fill me in.
Yes. So, when I first started doing like leagues and things, man, I had so many different names. I was Tyler Storm. At one time I was, the fab, like, and I can get into some of these if you would like me to, but at one point I was Tyler Storm. At one point I was, the fabulous Tyler Storm. That one's a
Okay.
whole thing. There was so many different names that I had. I remember at one point I was Tyler Steele. That was actually the first name that I ever came up with, was Tyler Steele. Um,
Tyler Steele. That's interesting.
yeah, I remember at one time going by my actual name, and that was just, it was, I don't know, it was one time, and I didn't really like it. And then so I was doing all these different things, and then it was actually funny that, um, you brought up that, because so obviously my name is Maverick now, and at one point when I was in one of the leagues, they called me, or I named myself the Maverick Tyler Storm, and it was because, some of the tights that I wore, one of my friends had made them for me on the game, and he put
Right.
wings on the tights, and they were actually kind of sick. And
Yeah.
I was like, man, I look like the Maverick or whatever. Like, I look like, and he was like, oh, that's a good one. That should be your nickname. And so that's what I started doing, was the Maverick Tyler Storm. And it worked. I mean, it really did. Um, and then there was at one point that I called myself CJ something. I don't know. So there was all of these different names, but Tyler Storm was always the one, that I was. And so I remember when you told me, no, let's stick to Maverick and see what it does. And I still remember it growing on me, and I ended up loving it. And everyone loved it. Everyone would call me Maverick, and they still do. And, I loved it. And I still do, like I said. So, you know, not nothing much there. It was just one of those things that it was what I had been using. And so I thought, maybe I should keep it like this in case anybody knows me. But I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? This is a whole new thing for me. Let's stick with Maverick. So, yeah.
My thing to that was this. You had debuted as Maverick. So my thing in my mind is just like there's people that could go for name changes, and then there's people that you just shouldn't touch them.
Yep.
Marcus came to me, was like, "Hey, I want to be Marcus Holloway." And of course, for those that played, what is it? Watch. I think it's Watch Dogs #1.
Yep.
They're obviously familiar with the character Marcus Holloway, and I think Marcus played the game and was inspired by him. And as time went on, came to me and was like, "Hey, I was thinking of Marcus Holloway," and I just thought Marcus Holloway just works because Marcus Storms is just so common in call. You know what I mean? And Marcus Holloway is just like, it has hollow in it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that, I felt like that defined Marcus's character in JTV, because Marcus, post Skull Brotherhood, Marcus' character really had sort of a dysfunctional way of living at that point in time. And I mean, anybody really that's involved with the Scar Brotherhood had pretty much paid the price for what they did. You know, whether they had a little bit of success or not after, you know, you pay the price, and that's how it goes for selling your soul. And Marcus had taken the initiative to sell his soul to the Scar Brotherhood and jump from Next Gen. Now you're on Mega Rush as a main star in JTV. So he was smart to take the initiative, but you know what I mean? You make a sacrifice like that, it doesn't come cheap. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like going to college, and you know this for a fact, you know, because you've been there. Going to college is a great benefit at first, but then it's just a debt that you owe after you're done. You know what I mean? And in many ways, it almost seemed like college is like a scam. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you can entertain our guests with a million things uh, of informative information to lay out to people about college and how everything works. But uh, just it should be a benefit, but it really becomes a debt over time for a lot of people. And I think that's unfortunate. And that's kind of like what happened to Marcus. In the case of Maverick, um, I'm not going to lie, and I do agree with what Mark said. You know, the Maverick, uh, Tyler Storm does ring a bell. It sounds really, really good. It sounds really good. But in my mind, I put my foot down because you've been to Maverick before. I didn't think that it needed to be changed. Unlike Marcus, I thought Maverick just worked for you. And I couldn't imagine any other name for you. So when you came back to the circuit and you're trying to pitch to me, you're like, hey, I'm thinking, you know, Tyler Storm is the winner. I couldn't see it at that time. You know, I'm not going to say I made the right decision. I think I made the right decision by sticking to Maverick. But at the time, I didn't see Tyler Storm. I needed to try to spend time with it. And I usually do when somebody comes to me and like, hey, I want to do this. You know, Mark has come to me time and time again. Hey, I got this idea. You know what I mean? Me and him will argue back and forth because to me, Mark Bannon, the ace, is, you know, the guy with the singlet, great technical wrestler. You know what I mean? And that's my vision on Mark. So when Mark comes to me and is like, hey, I want to, well, you know, I was thinking of trunks, or I was thinking of tights, you know, and stuff. It throws me off because it's like, whoa, like that's not what I see. You know what I mean? So I try to be very careful with all of y'all's character because a lot of promoters and call just don't give a damn. They either just whatever, or they just, you know, they don't give a damn about your character. They'll murder them. You know what I mean? And before I make any decisions, it's not just what I think, it's what you think, but then it's also a thought process. Okay, let me try to spend time thinking about that. Maverick is telling me, hey, you know, I want to be Tyler Storm. Let me not jump the gun. Let me think about it. And I was like, man, Tyler Storm. It didn't ring to me like that wasn't a sound that recognized who you were. You know what I mean? But the Maverick, you know, you being Maverick, it was just like it meant everything to me because it's like not only are you predictable, but you're tough and you're loyal. And Maverick is, from my understanding, I don't know if they named a horse after it or has, but it has significant meaning with horses, race horses. And with all due respect to you, sir, it appeared to me like you were definitely someone that ran the mile for JTVs, like a horse would for anybody betting on them. So respectfully, you were one of my strongest horses in the barn. And that's why I respected your character and I looked at it that way, you know, like I have to respect him like that I have to even argue with him about the name change because I have to stop him from committing career suicide. That's how I envisioned it at the time. So I had to just relay the message of, I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should stick to Maverick. And I do appreciate you working with me, not making it difficult. Uh, I'm not going to say I'm always right, but a lot of the time I've noticed that I talk to people and usually when I'm like, I don't think you should do this, it just turns out all right. Shendon being one of them. And that's the next guy I want to talk to you about. You know, Shendon came to JTV and Shendon was trying to also lay some stuff on me. He was like, "Oh, especially when he first started, because he was like a mixed martial arts boxing type of fighter in Next Gen with y'all." And this is back then before he had the ponytail. He just had like a flat top. Um, and when he had came in at first, I wasn't really impressed by Shen. I told him that, so I'm not lying about that or anything like that, trying to sound cool. I told him that back then, that I was just like, oh, he's just a tatted up, mixed martial arts fighter. That's cool. Let's see how far you can get. Shendon told me he was going to be the guy. And I said, that's cute. You have the opportunity. Show me what you got. He's like, what would you say if he started telling me different things and uh, started talking about his streak or whatever. And he got to about 5. And I'm like, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people with 5-0 streaks in JTV. So he's like, oh, what if I get to 10? What if I get to 20? I'm like, show me. I was kind of like Les Gold on Hardcore Pawn, for those who remember. I was like, show me. And he just kept going. The fucker just kept scoring. It was just like it was almost like playing NBA Street for my boy No Kills. Back in the day, that was our game on PS2. And the fucker just kept scoring left to right. So before we got to any of that, I saw potential in him, and I saw potential in you when you came back to the pro wrestling circuit. And I thought it'd be a really good idea to pair y'all to see how y'all would work mechanically, because that's kind of the things I look for. It's not just great matches, but it's chemistry, and it's, what match could you book to where they can mechanically give you an excellent exhibition. That's how I think. That's the type of wrestling I like. I don't do this fucking PG vulgarity bullshit that you see on TV or you see in some of these other feds. To me, every title, every entrance, every theme music, everything matters to me. That's just how I am. So I'm like, I think I could tell a story with Maverick and Shendon. So I decided to write on my paperwork Maverick versus Shendon, and I decided to have y'all match. Now, before I get to that, let me just check something real quick. All right. December 1st, 2018, Next Gen 26. I've laid down the date for y'all. This was the first encounter that Maverick and Shendon had on TV. Shendon had been a force to be reckoned with since he walked in the door. You got an opportunity to get a taste of this. You work with the guy. I mean, what do you want to say about the guy? Because it seemed like there's been sort of a rivalry between y'all, and I feel like it's still ongoing with the stuff going on with the Freak Show and BKS on TV and whatnot. So, what are your thoughts of the guy, and what are your thoughts working with the guy the first time? What do you got for me?
So I knew this was gonna come up. I mean, obviously,
Yes, sir.
It's Shendon. It's my biggest rivalry that I've had in JTV, and I'll even
I
say this,
agree.
probably my biggest
Second to
rivalry.
ours, but I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
I hear you.
But it's probably also the biggest that I've had, just in
No,
general.
it's the best. It's the very best rivalry that you've had in the circuit.
Yeah.
It's the best one. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I agree.
But contrary to what people may think or say,
Uh-huh.
I have no problem with Shendon. And I said this to Shendon the other day. You were
I don't
there.
believe you.
I have no problem with him. When he came into Next Gen, I was impressed, and I remember you telling me that you wanted me to work with Shannon. I was like, sure, let's do it, let's go. I remember our first match was at Chemical Warfare. It was a 4-way, and I
So
know that.
that was that first that I think that was your first pay-per-view match. I'm trying to work to that conversation. The first match y'all had was on Next Gen 26. Episode 26 was the first time y'all worked. So I'm pretty much asking you thoughts on that match and thoughts on the guy, because we're going to come back to that Chemical Warfare match.
Okay.
We'll come back to that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Next Gen, I thought it was a good match. I know a lot of people were saying, it was going to be a squash match. And it may have been. I know that a lot of people, they they were interested to see it. They were excited to see it. I still remember you were excited
I
to
don't
see
think
it.
it was a squash match. I think it was an exhibition, and you got a taste of what he's like in the ring. I think that's what
Yeah.
happened. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, like I said, I know that you were excited about it. I know that Shinden was excited about it. I was excited about it. There were other certain people within that also were excited about it. And so again, it was one of those things that I didn't know what to expect. And I got in the ring and we had our match, and the first thing that came to my mind was this man is a beast. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest challenges that I have if I ever see him again. Um, but I knew from that match, and I've always been one of those that's like, I know I can do it. If I put my mind to it, I know I can. And so obviously lost at next gen that next gen match. I was a little ticked off. I've told you this before. I wasn't happy with the outcome. I wasn't happy with the match itself. I was,
Right.
glad that I got to have the match, but I wasn't happy with it. And so, again, I remember, thinking to myself, do I even want to wrestle him again? Because this dude's tough. But then I knew that I would be able to do it, and I knew that if I put my mind to it, I could beat it. I know I could. Um, and so I remember telling you after that next gen match that that's what I was working to and building to, was I was training to in the ring to beat him. And I know that I had asked you for help. I know that I had asked other people on the inside to help. I remember talking to some people from Next Gen about it, and asking for help. And I remember asking you to put me in matches that were hard hitting, and that would be a challenge for me, because I feel like that's what I needed to go in and beat Shinden. And now we're here. But that's what I have to say about that match. I mean, again, I thought he was a great guy. He was a great competitor, and I was excited for the future, and I was excited to see where he and I both went. As far as was this the last match that we had together? Was there going to be more down the road? I obviously knew there would be more down the road, but I didn't expect, from that match specifically, I didn't expect what happened to actually happen. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely something that would turn into much more. It wasn't just a regular match. Sometimes you book matches and you get pretty good match out of it. Nothing really comes out of it. You just get a good match. There's people who pretty much turn out that way. I feel like there's a lot of people in WWE who turn out that way, but instead of just leaving it alone, the company just sort of zooms in on it when you shouldn't. You should just leave it alone and just move on to the important stuff. But they don't. They focus on it and they make an emphasis on mid carders and just things that are not really important at all, and it just kind of kills the product. And for me,
Definitely.
I didn't feel that way at all. I feel like Maverick versus Shendon was something important that I'm like, whoa, I just hit gold. I need to make more of this. You know what I mean? That's kind of like why I decided to keep going. And then when you was very openly opinionated about it, I was like, you got something there. You know what I mean? Because he's talking about the match. Up to that point, you hadn't really make a point about too many people you've been in the ring with. It wasn't like it wasn't an issue. But for some
Yeah.
particular reason, Shannon just stood out. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's something there. And that's usually where you find sort of these interesting rivalries, kind of like what happened with No Kills and Jada Nix. Jada Nix ain't been really replying to No Kills like that when he should. He really should. You know what I mean? He just want to fight the guy. But that right there seems like it can be really good. More can come out of it. The stuff with Corey and Shen was another one. You know, this has been different rivalries that have happened. Marcus and the Skull Brotherhood and Brooke Lawson is another one that just, you know what I mean? When you talk about rivalries in JTV that help propel it to the next level, these are it. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of talented people that have been here, people you've known, you know, but some are hit or miss, or some are like a one hit wonder. You know what I mean? Kind of like
Mm.
Shannon with Let the Music Play. You know what I mean? It's just like a one hit wonder kind of thing. And God bless Shannon. She's one of my favorites. I love Shannon. But the thing is that it happens. So when I got a hold of y'all and then I saw how you was like speaking out on it, I'm like, there's something here. This needs to keep going. And it's still ongoing still, because Freak Show has had issues, and you've been open still to this day about shutting down BKS and the issue with Shen. So it's very interesting that you're coming on here. And I don't know if that's a facade that you're putting on or whatnot. You know, I don't know if you're trying to be the nice guy, be professional, but, you know, I think a lot of people understand that deep down, you really do have sort of an issue with Shen. You really do want to get him back. You really do want to shut him down. You know what I mean? So I really don't know why you're hiding behind that Freak Show curtain, because we really know and understand that you really do want to shut this guy down, because, you know, you've been open about it for years. And now you come on here and you say he's a great. I mean, I do believe you think that he's deep down inside, he's a great guy. At least he used to be before he decided to just, you know, take my group over and turn it into what it is now, you know. And all due respect to the guy, you know, he's got the right championship. He's on top of the mountain. He's got the right faction behind him, you know. But there's a lot of people that want a piece of his ass, and I believe that you're one of them. And you ain't got to say it, but I mean, if you're talking to Kevin Impact, I could see right through you with these AVs. You know what I mean? So that's just how I look at
Well,
it.
here's what I'll tell you. Okay, do I necessarily like Shinden? You know, I'll be honest. I don't. I don't like Shinden. Um, you know, I've told you for years and years and years that I want to be the one to take him down. You know, obviously that hasn't happened yet, and I know it's coming. But now it's gotten me, you know, a little bit more of a pressure, more of an issue. You know, now that BKS is involved, and now that BKS is involved, it gets me more and more even eager to want to be the one to be like, hey, let's get him out of here. Let's take out this garbage, because that's just simply put. That's all there
I
is to
noticed
it.
that. I
You
noticed.
know,
Yeah.
and I mean, I've told you this before, and I'll tell you again. You know, the things, you know, that Corey got put through. You know, I know Corey doesn't like me. I know he doesn't. We've seen that. We've seen it happen. But the problem is that still, you know, I am this guy who it has been sitting on for too long, allowing him to do whatever he wants to do. And I've told you before, I want to be the one to put him down. I've told you, put me back in the ring with him and let me do it, because I've gotten to that point now. You know, again, I know we're going to talk about it, but we get to Chemical Warfare and Night of Rebels and all these other matches that we've had. If you look at Night of Rebels, I saw somebody ask a question earlier of what are your top 5 matches. If I'm going to be honest with you, that is one of my top 5. That might be my number one, is the Night of Rebels match. You know, again, I know I had a lot riding on the line, and I know that we're going to talk about it, and I know that we're going to discuss it. But when I still remember it, when I hit him with his own spear, I have told you this before, and I'll tell you this again. That right there might have been one that might have been one of the best moments that I've ever had and I've ever felt, being able to take him down. And then yes, he got back up. Yes, he attacked me. But the thing that we all saw was as he went down to one knee. And you heard them say on commentary, you were there. They said no one has ever been able to do that. No one. And I was the first one to do that. And so that was the little taste that I had, knowing that I had the chance to do it. And I see what VIP is saying. And VIP, I've told you this before, and I'll tell you again, I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for whatever happens. BKS is going down. Again, I know that I've been gone for a little bit, and I know that I've been stepping away. That's all BKS likes to do. BKS likes to sit there and talk and talk and talk. And again, I'm telling you right now, I'm back and I'm ready to go. And when the time comes, whoever needs it's going to get it, and Freak Show is going to stand on top. That's just all there is to it. BKS is going down, and they're leaving. They're going to be completely demolished from JTV Wrestling for everything that they have done. I mean, the things that you know that they've done to Kevin Impact, the things that they've done to Corey Flash, the things that they've done to this roster, they're going to be completely ridden obsolete from JTV, and that's all there is to it.
I love the confidence, kid. I appreciate you standing up for everybody. Um, Man, some fighting words there from Maverick. And I'm glad you noticed that VIP, even though he misspelled Shen, was talking some trash to you there for a moment. And we are going to highlight the best comments. So if you got something to say, the platform is right here, man. You know what I mean? You got something to say. I think he did say something. Oh, look, he did. He did say something. Maverick got issue with Shane. He could fight me and Shane in a handicap match. You know, it's interesting that VIP says that because this, it's interesting with VIP. I don't know if Shendon just took him. They went out and he disciplined him, kind of like Paul Heyman, with Roman. But VIP is all over the place. You know, he really is quote unquote the wild card because it's his nickname, the wild card. It's interesting because one day it seems like he's against BKS, the next day it seems like he's falling in line. He's come on here, and he's been on a few of these shows, and he's spoken out almost desperately like a damsel in distress about how he's had issues with BKS, doesn't want to be in BKS, and Shendon had to correct him live. And now here he is saying that if you got a problem with TLK, then you got a problem with him pretty much. And that to me is very, very interesting. Would I like to see a television match between VIP and Maverick? Absolutely. I think that'd be a great pay-per-view match, for crying out loud. But man, it's just so interesting that here he is just, laying into this shit. You know what I mean? Just
Well, and
jumping on
and
Shendon's side.
here's the other interesting thing that I see, and I've said this to people before. I've said this the other day to them. I hear all these people against them, and they say, "Well, if you're against this, probably just in a handicap match. Why does it got to be a handicap match?" See, that's the thing I don't get with BKS. They make no sense. It's always well, you wanna do this? Let's do a handicap match. The only reason they want to do a handicap match is so they can have the advantage. And I mean, it's smart. It is, but that's the problem with BKS. The problem with BKS is that they sit there and say, "Oh, you have a problem with us? All right, that's fine. Fight me in a handicap match." Okay, what is the issue with doing one-on-one? What's the issue with that? Why is if Shendon is this big top guy, this big top champion, this big top, king of legends, the king, the one king, why does he have to stand behind this group of pansies and can't do anything about it? See, that's the issue that I have here is that he does that. He sits back and relaxes and just watches it play out, and everybody's got to get through this person before they can get to this person. And I get it. I said this before. I said it the other day. I used to be like that. That's how I was. And I've noticed that I was wrong for that. And again, that's my apologies. And that's why I'm rewriting the wrongs right now. And I saw what Mark said. Mark said, "You don't have to stand up for me." I'm not trying to stand up for you, Mark. But what I'm trying to do is stand up for JTV Wrestling. If you don't want me to stand up for you, that's fine. You do what you want to do. Keep getting beat down by BKS. You're the same way. You're switching. They're the same way. You're
Oh my
switching
God.
sides. One minute you're with BKS, the next minute you're like, "Oh, I don't like BKS." You were like that the other day. So
Oh,
I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what anybody is
oh.
doing. But you're either with us or you're against us. You're either with BKS or you're with us. You need to decide what you're doing. Are you in the middle? Are you hot? Are you cold? What is it? Because if you just go to BKS, then that just shows what type of pansy you are, and that shows what type of person that you are. If you're going to leave and say, "You know what? Screw JTV, I'm going to BKS," then that shows your loyalty to where you are now. So again, Mark, you do what you want to do. VIP, you do what you want to do. I'm going to be on my side, and I'm going to be with the Freak Show, and I'm going to fight for JTV and whatever I got to do. Again, you're either with us or you're against us, and that's up to you. You need to make that decision, though, because you need to make it quick. Because once we start back up, you're not ready for what's going to happen between JTV and BKS. That's all I got to say.
Hey man, that was excellent. I dig it. I love it. I love what I'm hearing. This is very interesting. But I just want to note, I mean, we pretty much I wanted to believe that what happened with Shen was society kind of got to him. Kind of like how, the fans got to me and I got frustrated and then I did the BKS thing. And I guess the beatdown I got from BKS knocked me back into my senses and I became a man again. I started doing the right thing for the promotion. And I think I wanted to believe that Shen was just kind of going through that mentality that, you know, Shen dealt with a lot of hardship for a couple of years when he became the world heavyweight champion. Shen kind of wanted to be, the Muhammad Ali of JTV. He wanted to be like the true great fighting champion, kind of like how Bret Hart was in the '90s when he was the WWF champion. He wanted to be a fighting champion, honor, dignity, all that other stuff. Over time, it just seemed like the locker room started hating him, fans started hating him, and then at Ultimate Showdown, even though a lot of people did hate him for what he did to Corey and Corey's dad. I mean, he assaulted Corey's dad, bloodied him. There's never been a time in JTV that I remember ever seeing anything like that, especially at Ultimate Showdown. Somebody's father getting assaulted, getting bloody, beaten up by chains, and then he did it to Corey, and then he made Corey watch. He made Corey Flash watch as he would beat his father to a bloody pulp. With that situation, the fans in the arena just started booing him, in Soldier Field in Chicago. And it was just like, it was the instant switch. It almost felt like WrestleMania 13 with Bret Hart and Stone Cold. And it was just, good guy, bad guy, good guy. You know what I mean? And it was crazy to see that. And a lot of people forgot about what had happened and just wanted to judge him. So I wanted to believe all that. But I don't know, man. I'm starting to think Shendon just needs to get with some of my Cuban cronies and we need to just start cleansing this man out of all the brujeria, you know what I'm saying? Because it seemed like he got a little bit of voodoo in his bag. He got a little bit of voodoo in his pouch. Somebody's been doing something to this dude. And I don't know. I don't know who could be the culprit behind this entire thing, but it just really seems like something really dark is going on with that dude. For those that have been watching the show, with some of the stuff that's going on with him. So I don't know. I think that BKS is on a roller coaster ride to hell, and I'll leave it at that. And I'll switch off of that comment. VIP still running his mouth in the comment section. We'll highlight some of these comments, but we're gonna try to get back to the show as much as we can. I mean, the comments is lit up. The show's lit right now. Smash that like button. It's a party going on right here. But we'll try to get to all your comments. But we're gonna try to see if we can continue the show. Okay. Mark just going crazy. Can you still hear me, Maverick?
Yeah, I can. I'm reading some of these comments, and I mean, it's just frustrating me. I mean, again, you look at what VIP is saying, and VIP, I've said this before. You don't have to keep talking. I've told you this. I don't care about Lowrider. I don't care what Lowrider did. That's the past. This is the present. Again, I'm very grateful, of Lowrider. I really am. I mean, he created a group that was needed, and again, very, very grateful for him. But at this very moment, I could care less. Again, that's all you guys are doing is talking, talking, talking. I've been, waiting for this moment. I've been waiting for this time to be able to sit up, stand up here and say these things. And again, and yes, I am standing. So for those of you that are like, well, he's probably sitting, I'm standing right now. Again,
Even with that weather,
yeah, exactly.
even with that weather, he's standing.
I am. So, but the thing is, again, VIP, and see, Mark, there you go again. Mark is, you said that you're with the Iron Misfits, and then you're like, I'm against BKS. And then you said, but I'm not with you. And then you say, shut up. So again, Mark, you don't have to like me. Mark, you don't have to. Mark, you don't have to like the Freak Show. But if we all have a common enemy, why are we not doing this together? See, that's the problem that I see. I'm trying to bring everybody together to get against people. But nobody does anything. Again, it feels like it's just me. Again, I tried to get Corey Flash, and we saw how that went. Yes, we won the steel cage match. We did. But he doesn't like me. He doesn't want to be a part of Freak Show. I'm still trying. I really am. It's probably not going to happen. But, again, the thing about it is that you have to understand is, again, BKS is against us right now. And if nobody understands that, I don't know how you don't. And again, Shinden, I see what you're saying too. I see it. But Shinden, that's your problem. You hide behind these people and you hide behind this group. But you literally, what you don't know is, you guys are saying, oh, they're just clowns in a mask. They're not clowns in a mask. They're clowns hiding in the shadows. They're clowns. They're people that you don't know about. These are people that you're going to least expect to be a part of this. These are people that you least expect that are going to come for you. JTV and Freak Show are together in this. And again, if you are not with the Freak Show, that's fine. And if you're against BKS, then you're with JTV. And if you're with JTV, you're with the Freak Show, because Freak Show is all about saving JTV right now. Again, BKS has done way too much. BKS talks too much. BKS does too much to this roster. BKS does too much to these people. And so that's what we're here to do. We're here to help and to save it. And if you're against us, that's fine. But again, that doesn't make any sense. And Shinden, you're telling me to zip it and do it. But Shinden, I don't think that you're ready for what's going to happen when we come back on Mega Rush. I don't think you are, because once we come back and Mega Rush starts, havoc is going to happen. There's going to be so much havoc that you're not going to be able to withstand it. Because Mega Rush, the first show that we come back, it is going to be a party that you don't want to miss, because you're invited. And so is the rest of BKS. And again, I don't think you guys are ready.
Man, it's very interesting here what we got going on. My mind is almost blown by all this, but I just want to say publicly that I've never really looked at Freak Show as a bunch of clowns or whatever. To me, Freak Show has always been sort of like an antisocial outcast that sort of wanted to prove themselves and rid the world of all those who would judge them. You know what I mean? In many ways, for those who were a big fan of the Hunchback of Notre Dame back in the day, I'm stating my age. Like Quasimodo's character, for example, was up in the bells, up in the church, in the chapel, and he was just judged by mankind because of his looks instead of his heart. You know what I mean? So I'm really liking this story we got going on, this situation we have going on, because it's interesting, because it almost feels like Freak Show is the Quasimodo of JTV. It's sort of being judged, for its image and being blamed for being grotesque. You know what I mean? Society, we've seen this time and time again, in which people want to judge you for your looks, your height, your accent, the way you dress. And it's always weird that people would do that instead of actually getting to know you, let alone judging you for your skin tone. You know what I mean? So it's interesting because Freak Show is sort of like the outcast, antisocial group that is trying to excel, but society just won't allow it. And this falls into the story we're trying to tell here as we go through the story of Maverick, as we continue talking about his career. And I'm going to highlight Shenden's comment. I mean, he's going in, they're all going in, they're talking, the world is talking right now. And I'm trying to get through this story. I'm trying to talk to you more about your career. So I'm going to try to sway this conversation. There's a lot of drama going on here, and I need to just calm this thing down real quick, and let's just try to keep talking about, more of your matches and more of your career. All right, let's
Well,
try.
before we go anywhere, I want to say one more thing about this situation, and then we can go wherever you'd like. But
Okay.
I see this comment that Shinden said, and he said, "Your whole career is chasing me. How adorable." My career is not chasing you. No. My career is all about ending you. And I'm going to make a statement and I'm going to make a claim right now. And if you don't like it and if nobody likes it, that's fine. But I want you to hear my words and I want you to believe my words. By the end of this year, and I don't know when it'll be, I don't know when it'll happen, so don't ask me. But by the end of this year, I will be world heavyweight champion. And that's
Oh
just
my
all there is to
God.
it.
Oh
By the
my
end of this
God.
year, it is happening because I've
Oh my
sat back for
God.
too long and I've been doubted for too long. And I want you to understand me when I say that. By the end of this year, I don't know. Again, I'm not the writer. I'm not the one that does this. I'm not the one that books the matches. But I'm saying it right now. And I will do whatever I have to earn it. I will do whatever I have to MBKS. I will make the greatest group of freak show that anybody has ever seen before. But the simple fact of it is that the end of this, at the end of this, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, whenever it may be, whether it's Ultimate Showdown, whether it's a different pay-per-view, whether it be wherever, I am winning and leaving as world champion, and I will run JTV. Simply put.
I dig it, man. I dig it. I think we even got Bandit in the comment. Amber, everybody's reacting to what you're talking about, man. Smash that like button, y'all tuning in, man. Show some love to this man. This man out here is preaching. Uh, Speaking of preaching, and hopefully y'all can still hear me. I want to give you another date. I want to tell you about. You got a very rare opportunity to compete at the one and only Stan Lee's Last Comic. There's been conversations about Stan Lee's Last Comic Part 2 possibly coming back. Um, I'm looking into it, the possibilities of it happening. What would you like to share about your experience with that event? How special was that to you?
It was a great time. I mean, it really was. Getting to come out as Carnage and dressed like Carnage. I loved it. It was a great time. I've always loved Stan Lee. I'm a big Marvel Comics guy. Um, so getting to be a part of that was fantastic. I still remember that I wanted to be Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite character, my favorite superhero of all time. And I
Yeah,
remember when I texted you, you told me you was like, "Oh, it's already taken," and I'm like, "Dang, that sucks." And so I ended up being
yeah,
Carnage, and Carnage ended up being a blast. It ended up looking cool. It ended up being a cool entrance. I
it
actually,
was dope.
funny story, I actually watched that match the other day. I watched it back because I thought of how cool of a match it was. My opponent, I will just, go on the record. And I know that there's a lot of drama happening in the comments right now. And I know that you've told me
Sure is.
before. I know that you've told me before that this is one of those you can do whatever you want, say whatever you want type
Yes,
deals. And,
sir.
and I've never been a part of this before.
Yes,
But I
sir.
will, but I will go on record right now and before I say anything, I'll say that hate is a strong word, and I usually don't hate anybody. But what I will
Yes, sir.
say is, I absolutely hate Billy Ray Dog. I cannot stand him, and I'm glad that he's ridden from this company, and he will never show his face here again. That's all I got to say about that.
Why do you hate Billy Ray Dog? I didn't hate
Man, I
Billy
just
Ray
can't.
Dog back then.
I can't stand him. Again, from what actually happened in a podcast, from that's one thing I don't like about him.
Oh, he dropped the
Uh,
hard R 2 times in a row.
where he
Yeah,
dropped the hard R. There was that, and then and then again, he was just annoying. I'm just gonna be honest. He didn't know how to shut up. He just talk, 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 and I mean, he would not shut up, and he thought he was hot stuff, and he wasn't. And I mean, he just
yeah,
came out the fortunate son, like the redneck he
yeah.
was, and it was just terrible. I just hated it. I could not stand him. It was terrible.
Uh,
Man named
uh,
himself Ray Dog, and Ray Dog doesn't make sense. I don't get it.
uh.
Anyways, he is the epitome of a Billy. That's just all there is to it. The epitome of a Billy.
Billy Boy.
But
When
again,
he came out in next gen the first
I
time.
also didn't expect this man to be flamed on whenever he started the match. I couldn't even pay attention by seeing nothing but a freaking tall yellow triangle sitting on top of his head. But anyways,
Yeah, he was pretty bad in the ring. It was pretty sloppy. I like Billy. I thought he had some potential to be a big star. I tried to help him. He had hung around for a couple years. I thought he was going to be a big deal. A lot of people hated on him. I kept believing in him. People was trying to get me to get him fired, and I said no. I said, he's been working hard, and he really was. I also remember Billy letting me know that he was pretty much making money off of me, and making stickers and making money off of it. But I didn't mind it because he had a little daughter, and I loved this kid. I thought if he could make money off of my name, he had stickers that he made. He was like, oh, Kevin Impact is scared of Billy Ray Dog. And I was like, that's cute. He's making money off of that and stuff like that. And I didn't pursue it to get him in trouble or nothing. I was cool with it. And so I was cool with all that. What I mean? My thing with him was just he decided to destroy his career and be unfaithful to us. It was just like, why? I didn't get that one because Billy Ray had dropped the hard R twice. And this is a white man, white male. You know what I mean? Uh, if anybody could have saved him, it was definitely me. And I took time to analyze whether Billy was a racist or not. And fast forward to giving him the opportunity. I analyzed the whole situation for about a year or two. And then I realized, wait a minute, Billy ain't never been racist to me or anybody, and I thought, I need to try to bring him back. He's not racist. I don't go off of what anybody else thinks. I go off of what the truth actually is. So I realized he wasn't a racist, what I mean, even though what he said was very racist, and decided to bring him back. Not everybody was a fan of it, but eventually realized that he wasn't a racist, but he was definitely disloyal. I felt like he owed me a lot of respect for bringing him back and pretty much saving his career, man. He just went and threw that out the window, decided to just jump ship, so to speak, and it didn't work out for him too well. It broke my heart, and that's pretty much about it. His career is just over now, and the Stan Lee's last comic was special. I thought it was dope. I think I made it a point to never repeat it again because I thought I wanted to be special and I wanted to be a standalone. But there's been so much popular demand for it from what I've seen of it wanting to come back that I think it's possible that we may see a second one. I don't want to swear to it, but it's looking really good right now for a possibility of a Stan Lee's Last Comic Part 2. Um, Me and Shendon might not like each other very much, but we definitely know how to see eye to eye when it comes to keeping best interests of JTV at heart. I mean, that's probably the only reason why him and his faction haven't killed off JTV like the NWO did to WCW. But and I definitely wouldn't allow that shit, even if I got to lace them boots back up. If you catch my drift. But let's move on because we're talking about Maverick here. I'm very proud of you, your work thus far. You getting the opportunity to be a part of Stan Lee's last comic. And you know what? I just want to say that I think Carnage worked better for you. I think that if you would have went with Spider-Man, I don't know if it would have gotten the same reception. You know what I mean? I think it would have been okay. But you going as Venom, I think just it did the job, in my opinion, if you're asking
Yeah,
me.
no, I
All right. So Maverick is getting himself together for a moment. I'm gonna go ahead and look at my other notes. We got VIP still talking trash in the comment section. What's he saying? VIP says, it's one of my favorite shows that we did. Thanks, Stan Lee. Last comic part 2. Definitely needed it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, when Stan Lee went away, Stan Lee really, resembled a lot of our childhood and influenced JTV wrestling a lot. So we needed to show respect to this man as much as possible. And him getting his own show, his own tribute was very important to me. And I think it was very important to a lot of y'all to honor him. Um, Stan Lee's last comic is something that I've never seen in CAW. I thought it was very interesting, creative, and innovative. I thought it would be something really good that you guys would love. Sort of JTV films or some of the other special events that we do from time to time. And I'm a big fan of innovation. I don't like copy and paste. That's why last time we was on here, I was put on the spot about, hey, what if we started putting JTV matches in the Hall of Fame and whatnot? And I'm like, I don't like that because that's what WWE's doing. I don't like to copy things. The Royal Rumble is a WWE match. We may do battle royals, but it's a WWE match. Same like Hell in a Cell and all that. That's why we have Rage in the Cage. So it's just different. You have to be unique. In my opinion, I think you have to be unique. You stand out. It's better rather than copy and paste, everything you see. Like a lot of promotions they either copy us or they just copy whatever they see in wrestling. And, everybody's Samoan now and wants to be a tribal chief. I just think that shit is garbage. But Maverick, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, Maverick is still here. I'm gonna go to the next topic. Y'all could keep asking questions if y'all want. We got Chris Conscious. I would just want to mention this man real quick. This man talking about secret wars. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of secret wars that we're fighting in JTV and the pro wrestling circuit, and we just gotta, we just gotta be on board for it all. I mean, this is a railroad. We're on it. And on this railroad, you have an arsenal of pressure coming at you nonstop. That's how I like wrestling. You know what I mean? Everything, Japanese, Jushin Thunder Liger, anything that we can get our hands on, the BKS controversy, the Freak Show, the All-Star Kid, Corey Flash, the mind of the Third Eye, Chris Conscious, the commentary, just everything, the Seal family, the Rec Deposit. There's just a lot of fun stuff going on. And I think that's the reason a lot of people are enjoying the product. And it's like I said last year, I'm saying again, this is literally the best era of JTV with the best superstars of all time. Loving it, enjoying it. This is fantastic. It's a great era that we're enjoying right now. And it's the best era because this era seems to be more centered around people that want to contribute and help build the promotion and make sure that CAW is safe, not people who are trying to destroy JTV and kill their careers and kill others' careers along the way because of jealousy. So you want to say something, Maverick?
Yeah, well, really quick, it's not pertaining to this. I will say, and this is just to everybody. So the storms are starting to kind of ramp up here. My internet's starting to kind of cut out.
Okay.
So I will be here for as long as I can be. Probably guessing
Okay.
probably another 15 minutes, and I'll tell you guys, like I told Jay, if you guys are enjoying this as much as I am, I'd love to do a part 2 or try to get back on here later. They're saying that these are going to be out of here by around 6 or 7 o'clock, somewhere around in there. But the heavy rains, and it's supposed to be heavy rains and heavy winds. So that's the only thing. They said that powers could be knocked out. Power hasn't went out yet, but my internet is kind of trying to go out, it's seeming like. So, like I said, probably another 15 minutes. And then, like I said, me and you can discuss on what we want to do next. So, yeah.
Let's try to stay on the railroad as long as we can. And if it kicks you, it kicks you. Let's try to see if we could go with this thing all the way through. All right, let's continue here. What else do I have for you? Um
Yeah, that's what's happening, Shinden. Marcus Storms is taking care of my stuff. Hey, that might be it right there. Shinden, did you do this? Did you send Storm so I couldn't talk about you? Is that what it is? I didn't know you were that scared of me. Dang. But
mm-mm.
Shinden, it's like I just said. You can send these storms. Who knows? If I do get knocked out, I'll be back later tonight. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow. Who knows? Who knows what can happen?
Okay, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, all good.
All right. I mean, we could talk about, chemical warfare, the four-way match. Um, Billy was obviously in that match. We were talking about him, and so was King Wolf. Shandon had his first crack at some gold. Let me double check. Um, April 27, 2019. That's the day for Chemical Warfare. That's the Chemical Warfare, where the C Division Championship title was on the line. Defending champion, I can't remember his other nicknames, but King Wolf was in the match defending the belt. Billy Ray Dog's in the match. You're in the match. Shenda's in the match. Y'all having a fatal four-way match, and y'all decided to jump on this man, and he just annihilated everything in his path. The storyline, or should I say the rivalry, excelled at that point because not only did y'all already had an encounter before with the Next Gen episode 26 match, but you also had the Chemical Warfare match. Thoughts on the match, thoughts on him taking the championship. Obviously, the frustration continued to build. Do you want to talk about it?
Um, I mean, Chemical Warfare was Chemical Warfare. I definitely do think that was the main start of it all. Um, I don't think I necessarily want to talk about the match. I more so want to talk about what happened afterwards. And
Uh-huh.
maybe not a lot of people know. Maybe some do know. And maybe everybody in this chat knows. I don't know. But after the match, I did get really heated. And I was suspended. I remember this. I remember being suspended and being kicked out, and I didn't. That was a very, very, very low point. And when that happened, I told you, I was like, I want to come back, and you're like, you're suspended, you can't. And I said, okay, Night of Rebels, I want Shinden, and I want him. And obviously he won the title, and so I said I want him at Night of Rebels, and I want the title. And
Yeah.
I still remember you saying, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" And I kept telling you, "Yes." I told you that I did, and so me being me, so I want to move from Chemical Warfare now to this. Again, I came back, I was attacking him, I was taking him out, and I was doing what I could, and then all of a sudden Night of Rebels comes. And again, I'm telling you, I fully, wholeheartedly believe that this right here was one, if not my favorite match that I have ever had in this company, besides one. But we'll get to that one a little later if I can make it
It
here.
was big.
Um,
It was a very big match in your career, that title match. Absolutely.
yeah, sure. And
I mean,
so,
the rivalry, like you said, it's the best rivalry you've had, and I agree with
yeah.
that.
But again, getting to Night of Rebels, you know, the build up to Night of Rebels for myself in a specific discussion,
Shendon,
and I know,
Shendon,
and I
I've
know,
seen you before in other promotions. I remember.
yep, yep. But I know that we'll talk about the actual build up and the conversations that myself, you, and another person had in the back.
Uh-oh.
But you know
The
that
juicy
match
shit.
with, huh?
The juicy stuff. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just adding on.
no, you're good. But the match itself was one of the toughest matches that I had ever had, but was one of the most deserving matches I believe that I've ever had. And what I mean by that is that match, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to compete. I didn't know how I was going to act. I didn't know anything. And I still remember spearing him and everybody losing their minds. And I think in that moment, people realized who Maverick was. Yes. Do I have a massive win loss record? Yes, I do. I have it, and it's something that haunts me. Is my wins getting better? Heck yeah, they are. They are, and they're starting to prove that and show that off. And I mean, this year is only going to get better. I mean, I've already stated my claim of what I said here a while ago of what's going to happen. But again, what I was going to say was, uh, you know, Night of Rebels was a tough one. I still remember after I speared him, I pinned him, and I was like, "This is it. I have done it. I've beaten him. This is over. I'm getting what what I knew I could have, and then I lost, and I was distraught. Um, I didn't know what to do. I was stuck. Um, but again, I fully believe that that was the match, um, and it still kind of haunts me, to this day. Um, I go back and watch that match every now and then. Uh, I go back and I think about that match all the time, and I go back and I look back and say, um, and Shinzen, I see what you said. I didn't necessarily underestimate you. And that's the thing that I think some of you don't understand, that you think that I knew I was going to win this match. No, you can ask Jay. You could ask the other person that was in that's no longer here. I never underestimated Shinden. I never
Not really.
underestimated. I, I mean, you can ask anybody. I was training like it was nobody's business. I was editing my move set like it was nobody's business. I told Jay and the other guy, I said, you know, I know I'm going to lose this match, but I'm going to go in there fighting and try to win.
You could
Um,
say names. You could say names. Ain't nothing.
okay, okay. Well,
Who you
SYM,
told? Wolf? Oh, you told SYM. Okay.
SYM, I remember him telling me that he said, I think that you could do it. I think this is your time. I think it's
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah.
I think that you are the one that's going to be able to do this. And then I remember hearing from some other people, and I don't know if it was you, Jay, or if it was somebody else, but I remember somebody said that SYM was in a group chat with some other people and was sitting there making fun of me, basically, and saying that I was not going to do it. That I
I
was,
rem. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think I remember something like that.
yeah.
I don't want to say
And
that
so,
he did or didn't.
yeah. And so, obviously that messed with me a little bit. And so that pushed me even harder. Um, so, yeah. Um, but now we're here and we're better than ever.
I'm gonna tell you to chill. I'm gonna only tell you one time to chill out. All right, Mark. I love SYM. Shut your mouth, man. Great video game. Y'all gotta
Mm-mm.
chill out, bro. Y'all got Shendon and all of them dying, bro. Chill out. I'm gonna give you a bit. Oh, all right. All right. Let's see if we could get some more out of you, man. Because we're talking about Shandon and different things that went on. Let's see if we could get some more. Let me look at my notes real quick. Bear with me. All right, June 22nd, 2019, next gen. Let me see. It was next gen episode 30. After some of the stuff that y'all had going on, you pop up on next gen once again. And after Shenda's match, after he's done getting ready to hit the showers, you attack him and you hit him with the spear again, kind of like the matches you had had. And you beat him. I don't know if you. I don't think you speared him. I'm gonna take that back. But you definitely assaulted him with a steel chair. Shendon might remember that. You beat him to a pulp, and you was trying to get some revenge for what had been going on. Is there anything more significant added at this point, at this date, to that robbery, or do we just move on to the next topic? Do you have anything for me? Let me see. You remember attacking him, obviously, on next gen. You beat his ass after the match. You was frustrated, you lost control, and you started assaulting him. Steel chair in hand, you had the black shirt on, jeans, and you just lost it. You just started assaulting him, and then you dipped through the crowd, which I really like that. I like how you dipped through the crowd after when the show kind of just ended. And Shendon, I remember him just stumbling. He was just like trying to get to his feet. During that time, there wasn't a whole lot of people that would be able to bring him down to his feet. It was kind of like the Fiend thing with Bray Wyatt. A lot of people just could not bring him down to one knee. You brought him down to one knee, and it was like bend the knee, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Anything you want to add to that, or do we move on to the next thing I got?
I think that there's always a motive to every attack. There's always a motive behind everything that happens. I think that in that moment, he had what was coming to him.
Right.
He had been running his mouth, or as Pat McAfee likes to say, running his mouth, whatever he says.
No,
And
fuck
so,
Pat McAfee. Do it your way. Fuck him. Do say how you would say it.
um,
He's corny as shit. Keep that PG motherfucker out of here. Stick to Maverick. Edgy
yeah,
shit. You know what I mean?
um,
The way you would say it.
but what I was gonna say was, you know, he was talking, he was running his mouth, and he was talking, and he was saying things about me that just wasn't true, and um, I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know what to do. And so the thing that I knew was, let's just attack him. And the crazy thing is this is the first time that I have ever felt in a sense of wanting to take someone out like that. And so I don't know. Something overtook me, and it kind of just turned me into something. And I think it has to do with something, regarding what was going on. And I'll touch base on that now. I know that you probably were going to talk about it later on, but I'll tell you. So, on the lead up to Night of Rebels, there was a conversation between me and you and SYM. Mainly SYM. I know that you were a part of the conversation, but it was mainly SYM, where Night of Rebels, it was Draskell was defending his title,
Oh, okay.
and SYM, approached me with the idea that we have a win-win situation for you. It's
Okay. Yeah.
it's going from a win lose win to a win-win. And
Yeah.
he said, if you lose your match against Shendon, you have a win. If you win your match against Shendon, you have a bigger win. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it here? And he was like, well, if you beat Shendon, you win the title. He was like, but if you lose, then we want you to join the Freak Show and go to Mega Rush. And I said, okay. I was like, what is this? And I knew a little bit about it. And I know that it was being discussed to me. And he said, look, this is what we want you to do. If you lose, and I remember SYM even telling me that he preferred me to lose so I could go be a part of the
Yeah.
Freak Show. Because
I remember
he
that.
really,
I remember that.
yeah,
Yeah.
because he really thought that it would be a good moment for me to be a part of the Freak Show.
Yeah.
And so I think that had something to do with it. I think it definitely had a moment where I was mad, I was ticked off, and so I had a moment to where I decided, you know what, if I lose, I'm going to the Freak Show. If I win the title. And so, like I said, I think that had something to do with it.
All right. Let's leave that alone and move on. Let's leave that alone and move on. Oh, what is Mark saying? Okay. Let's see. Okay, am I still here? Just making sure. Okay, I'm looking at my notes, making sure I haven't been kicked out of this broadcast yet. Can you still hear me, Maverick? Can y'all still hear me? Everybody tuning in? I don't hear Maverick. Can y'all hear me? If y'all can hear me, let me know in the comments. I got to double check. Okay, cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that. All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, I think we lost Maverick. It appears that we've lost Maverick. I was about to ask him about Mr. Amazing, but it seems like we've lost Maverick. I don't know if we're going to get him back. So we're almost 2 hours into the show. We're 10 minutes away from going 2 hours into the show. If we can get him back, I'm going to ask him about Mr. Amazing. But in the meantime, I'm going to take the next 10 minutes to talk to y'all. If Maverick cannot come back in the next 10 minutes, we could be closing the show out. It all depends on y'all. Whatever questions y'all have, let me know what you got. Thus far, I've had a blast talking to Maverick. It's unfortunate that he's having weather issues and we've lost him, but I hope we can get him back somehow. So what questions do y'all have on my show here, City of Impact, man? Maverick's been out. The weather knocked him out. I'm still talking with y'all. Y'all got about 9 minutes with me. If we got to close the show out, what do y'all want to talk about? No, I'm not going to shoot any invite. This is Maverick's episode. I'm not going to have any guests on here. If y'all want to ask questions, I'm all ears, but not going to invite anyone to be on here. Just going to answer questions. Just going to answer any questions y'all might have. We'll go from there. If you want to talk business with me, Shen, we could talk after the show. You know what I mean? We don't have to go on here publicly. But Maverick was definitely talking about a lot of interesting things. It's unfortunate that we couldn't finish. I had a shit ton of other questions with him. I was going into 2019 now. I got stuff for Maverick going into 2024. So I had a few years left of stuff to talk to him about. VIP says, let's talk about when is BKS going to be on the show. Well, let me highlight this comment. This platform, I take the opportunity to use this platform to give people opportunity to come on here, speak their mind, say what they want to say. Obviously, with Maverick coming on here and mentioning certain names, you know, we don't hide or nothing like that. You know, like I want people to come on here and be able to be themselves and talk. I don't like corporate media. Corporate media likes to censor and sort of mute public speech, and I don't like that. I like for people to be able to come on, tell their story without any restrictions, without any fear or concern of anybody telling them, oh, you can't say this, you can't do that. I don't give a damn. I don't have anything to hide. So why would I tell someone you can't say this or that? You know, so that's just how I look at it. So I like people coming on here, being able to speak and tell their stories, you know. Unfortunately, time and time again, as some of y'all have seen, there are great talent that come to JTV that do an excellent job, that get over big as a star and make an impact and do good for a couple years at a time. And then for some weird fucking reason, some of these people, they just decide to stab me in the back, stab JTV in the back because somebody came to you and said, hey, I got cotton candy. You know, it's just weird. I don't know. And the thing is, you know, you would think that they'd honor their oath to JTV and just be loyal and just finish their career and become a Hall of Famer and be world champion and do whatever. But a lot of them just, you know, somebody gets the wrong, the right, not the wrong. I mean, obviously the wrong person, but the right person, the right wrong person gets in their ear and convinces them to just destroy their career, and they just go along with it. It's sad, but it has happened time and time again here in this promotion. We've seen a lot of talented people that have been wrestling in our ring that just destroyed their career. Not sure why. You know what I mean? I like to think that I give my heart to every single person that walks through the door. I try to be the best coach I can. I try to give the best advice that I can, but sometimes it's not enough. People just destroy themselves, and it hurts to see. There's a lot of talented people that have been around that I do wish would still be around, not just in JTV, but that we would still socialize and get along, but it just can't be. Personal demons, issues, or just people getting in their ear telling them lies about me have led to thus decisions of them just throwing it all away. And it's really unfortunate. Um, there's someone I'm thinking about that should be here. Somebody that was around when me and No Kills was around back in the day that should be here, and that individual is not here anymore. And it is sad because I still love that person. I miss that person a lot, and I wish that there was somewhere we could talk, but it doesn't seem like it's possible. Every time we run into each other, it just doesn't work out. So, you know, if I could talk to God for a moment, if it's one wish I can get, it would definitely be that, to get that person back. It doesn't necessarily have to be JTV, just back, because I miss that person a lot. So it does hurt. And I've been thinking about my family a lot. And I've considered that person family, even though that person is dealing with so many demons in their life. I miss that person. I miss that person a lot. And if that person's listening or gets a hold of this, you're missed. You know what I mean? Despite the fact that you have so many psychological things going on, I don't want to be the one to judge you. I would like to talk with you man to man, face to face, and bury the hatchet like we've done in the past. You know what I mean? But I can't do that with anybody. Some people I can do it. And for anybody else in the online world, this is not online related, but many people in the online world that, man, that inbox is always open. You know what I mean? The years go by, we get old. It's stupid. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fight with anybody over car related shit. I just can't do that. That to me is childish. For me to have an issue with someone, it has to be personal. I could think about maybe 4 or 5 people that it's personal with me and them. It's not CAW related. Um, and anybody else that I've had issues with CAW related, man, it's all love. You know what I'm saying? It's all love. It's no hard feelings. I miss you guys. Y'all should hit me up. We should do business. You know what I mean? Y'all should come back. Um, you should be on board for this ride, man. It's hella fun right now. You know what I mean? Definitely take care of yourself like that, and come on back and do the right thing, and show us your passion. You know what I mean? But for anybody that's personal, just shame on you. As we get ready to close the show out, shame on you. Like, how is it that I've given you guys so much of me? We played games together, whatever, spent time together, and y'all took the initiative to just stab me in the back or whatever. Man, I've done so much for y'all. I've done so much for so many promotions and so many people in call. It's pathetic. It's pretty fucking pathetic that y'all would stab me in the back and not appreciate me for the things I've done for y'all, or you was just stupid enough to take somebody else's story that can't be proven, or that they convinced you that it's true. Like, man, I don't have a problem with anybody. My issues with people, um, has to be personal, man, for me to have a problem with you, first of all. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I'm just here coaching the locker room, trying to bring out the very best that I can. Giving all the love in the world to everybody. I want the fucking best for all of y'all tuning in, and for anybody that's ever been in JTV. It was not my mission, my plan, my interest to destroy anybody's career, anything like that. I remember back in the day, Convell Wolf was like, "Oh, you tried to destroy my career and this and that." I tried to go talk to Ray Geddes and COH and all this shit. I didn't try to destroy no Wolf career, man. Wolf got weird. He talked to Draskell. He talked to Jason Hudson back in the day. He said some weird things. They never believed him, but we had to get rid of him because of what happened. And then, you know, fast forward, you know, he's running around like Ray Getty's telling fake stories about me. Like, that shit is garbage. You know what I mean? Shame on y'all for that. But God bless Conville Wolf for making peace with me. It took us years to do that. Took us years before we signed off on the Iron Misfits for Dan Rapture and Mark. But hey, it became what it became. We made our peace. I love that dude. I'm very proud of him. He's doing great things. He's going through some stuff, but he's doing great things. Hope to see him back very soon in JTV in 2K25 era. But it's just been a lot, man. It's been a lot of things that have happened for the longest time. So God bless that dude. I hope he goes on to great things. Let me see if there's any more comments. Y'all got any comments for me? We're at the 2-hour mark. Absolutely. Maverick, I think, is stepping up. He, you know, he's taking the initiative. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate that he wasn't able to finish the show here because of the storm. He might pop up. You never know. But so far, I don't think he's going to come back. And he did take the initiative so far. I'm seeing a lot of activeness coming from him. There's a lot of things I wanted to talk about as was getting ready to close the show, but unfortunately, it is what it is. It was great having him here. I look forward to bringing him back for another episode to continue to discuss the rest of his matches. It's been dope. But I do agree with Shendon, despite the fact that they're having issues, you know, he is stepping up. And I'm glad you said that from a GM standpoint and not from a wrestler standpoint. So I give you respect for that right there. Any other comments? Is there going to be a pay-per-view called JTV Cyber Overload? Mr. Conscience, as a head of creative guy, I don't know. Cyber Overload, I don't think it's a bad pay-per-view name. But I don't know. I don't have anything scheduled like that coming up. But I mean, Cyber Overload, I guess, wouldn't be a bad pay-per-view name. I guess it would be up to you to use your creative control abilities to try to make that come to fruition, sir. Inbox is open, you know that. You know, Cyber Overload sounds cool. You know, we could probably maybe for the Japan tour, maybe the Japan tour could be JTV Cyber Overload in Japan. That sounds kind of dope to me. I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know. What else y'all got? All right. Mark Bannon has, how long do you see the Iron Misfits around? Not saying Iron Misfits is going away. No, man, I don't think the Iron Misfits is going to go away. I think that the incentive at this current time should be for the Iron Misfits should be to continue to stay together and to try to see if they can acquire more members into that faction. Maverick was on here, you know, Freak Show has been doing their part to try to assemble a new Avengers team. For those old school JTV fans might remember, Lowrider was brought up. You know, Lowrider was not the guy who came up with the Freak Show, but he was definitely the guy who led the Freak Show. He was definitely the guy who was given the opportunity to lead the Freak Show, and he led the Freak Show and did a fantastic job with them in 2012. And it was WWE 12 era. So he did I'm kind of confused here. WWE 12. I remember WWE 13. What was WWE 12? What the hell was that? I'm confused. Okay, WWE 12 was 13. I'm completely confused. I'm sorry, I'm confused. But in 2012, Lowrider got the opportunity, whatever game that was, he got the opportunity to lead the freak show. A lot of y'all don't know about that because that's prehistoric JTV shit, you know. And you know, fast forward, obviously, Draskell had taken it over, and I thought he did a fantastic job with it for a little bit. It's just that he kind of became a little bitch, and then it was just like, I don't know, he became weird. You know, something happened to him mentally, and then fast forward to um, just pretty much Maverick taking it over. You know, and I thought Maverick did a much better job. He reinvigorated it and was off to something good, and it still has the potential to become even bigger if Maverick is willing to take that wheel once again and drive it somewhere, you know. So I don't know. I guess we'll see how it turns out, right? But as far as the Iron Misfits, I mean, Conval Wolf has been dealing with a storm of personal things that we don't need to talk about on here. Me and him have absolutely been in contact, and I hope he can come back real soon. I really hope that we can see him in 2K25. I hope things work out for him in his personal life as well as his JTV career. So I think the Iron Memphis just have to regroup, stick together, and just weather the storm, kind of how Maverick is doing right now. I think they'll be fine. Just got to stick together. Let's see what else we got. Hey, man, I'm going to shout you out real quick, Bandit. Appreciate the love, brother. Appreciate the heart. You already know, my brother. You already know I'm going to come on here, speak my mind, share the gospel as only Kevin Impact could, and just tell y'all stuff that's going to make y'all feel good. And that's what this is about. You know what I mean? We're not here to bash anybody or be toxic. You know, we're here to have fun and tell stories and just have fun together. And you know, this is why I love JTV, man, because, you know, we get to talk about these matches, we get to have fun, and the conversation just goes anywhere. We literally break the script nonstop. I shouldn't be on here. You know, I should have been ended the show 7 minutes ago, yet I still am here telling y'all stories and talking with y'all and willing to answer all your questions because we're not running from nothing. You know, this is kind of like the Arsenio, Arsenio Hall show back then. We're not going to run from none of that. You know, we're going to tell y'all what it is, and whatever questions y'all have, we'll address it. Sometimes we miss certain questions. It's not that we're dodging them. It's just that not every question could be answered. You know, we try to get to every question as much as we can. But I still, even then, in this vein, would like to thank my guest Maverick for coming on the show, and hope to bring him back so we can continue the rest of the conversation in his career. Okay. So I appreciate the love. Shout out. Big shout out to you, Bandit. Big shout out. All right. What else we got? Mark Bennon. All right. Mark Bennon. I want to highlight this comment. I think you're stepping up. I think you're doing an excellent job as the world television champion. I'm very proud of you. I think you've come a long way because you was doing excellent work. I think it was in 2K17. I might be wrong. You can correct me. And by 2K18, I think by 2K18, I feel like I'm wrong. It's like between 2K17 and 18, you was doing excellent work in the ring, having hot matches for a little bit, and then you stepped away for a bit. And then when you came back after your break, you came back hot. You came back at Showdown. You started having pandemic matches with Corey Flash and stuff like that. And then you worked your way back into championship gold. Mark Bennon is no stranger to gold. Mark Bennon, you know, in many ways, you know, Mark was really kind of screwed. It was a two-sided thing, but he was kind of screwed out of some gold. He was double champion when he took a break, and then he came back and worked his way to become the world television champion. This man is a world champion. He'd been around several promotions, several E-Feds for a little bit. So I give you respect. I recognize what you can do in the ring. I've worked with you off screen. So I know how talented you are, dude. You know what I mean? You've done your shit for a little bit. And you've known Marcus for quite a while, along with other people. You know, whether IWA or all these other promotions you've been in. I mean, you have experience, and I think that's fantastic. You're a great world television champion. You just have to stay hungry. As long as you stay hungry and you stay competing the way you competed when you was wrestled against Conville Wolf at one of the ECW Christmas shows. Um, the psychology, the mechanics, the motion, the way you moved in the ring, the stuff that you did with him in the ring. If you stay with that mentality, you're going to be very successful in 2K25 when we come back on the air. If you're just going to be the nice guy, I mean, you're just going to be destroyed by people like Shendon and everybody else. And that's just me keeping it real with you. You know what I mean? Um, so you just got to be strong, man. You got to be strong in 2K25. It can't take no prisoners. Same with Dan Rapture. Dan Rapture can't take no prisoners. Y'all are the two members of the Iron Misfits that are holding shit down until further notice. So you got to bring fire. You know what I mean? You can't just hold back. You can't be the nice guy. You can't be like, hey, I want to have great matches with you. You got to just deliver. You got to have great matches, but you also have to be cutthroat to survive. Survival of the fittest. That's how this game goes. You know what I mean? Nick, Shendon, any one of them, even people back in the day would tell you that's how that goes. That's why people attempted, no names, have attempted to try to dethrone me in CAW and come after me confrontationally or whatnot, because they recognize that they're not able to do it. So they felt that they needed to try to compete against me and stuff of that nature, because they felt that this is the way to do it, to try to get over and to try to succeed and be successful. And that's not how that works. Destroying others is not how you really get by. It's really about being unique, in my opinion. There's a lot of people who would argue that you have to squash your competition. And Vince McMahon is one of them that will tell you face to face that you have to grab your competition by the throat, squeeze the life out of it. I've heard him say that. I disagree with that. I don't think you have to do that shit. I think you just have to be unique. You have to be dope. You have to be fire. You have to be creative. And you have to present your own idea. And by doing that, your idea will stand alone and you will be successful. Trust me. Trust me, if you do that, you will be successful and you will outshine everybody else, instead of having to try to compete against anybody and put them out of business or whatever. To me, that's bullshit. That's a crock of shit. Don't believe that story. Okay. Because I didn't have to compete against anybody. All I did was I took JTV, I worked with everyone, I made it public, and I kept working towards making it bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what has happened. More subscribers, more love, me put my boot in some of y'all asses and getting this product to be hot. You know what I mean? Whether I had to work with BKS, Direct Deposit, whomever, Chris Conscience, I work with whoever I had to make the product what it needs to be instead of what it used to be. Period. So that's to you, Mark Bannon. Let's see what else y'all got. Any other questions? Man, BKS. I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. Since you want to make it a point, you and the rest of BKS, let me make something well understood and let me be public about this. I don't have anything to hide or anything like that. I just wasn't interested in talking to BKS. That's why I canceled the show. I just didn't think that I would have anything interesting to talk to BKS about. I just thought it would be just a whole bunch of shim sham, lickety split about Shendon and whatever. So I lost interest. I decided to talk to Maverick. But since yourself, Shendon, and the rest of BKS seems to continuously have an issue with my decision as a creative director of JTV, along with yourself and Chris Conscience, I don't have anything to hide. And I would like to publicly announce that on the next episode, of City of Impact, episode 11, I would like to formally, without any cancellation, extend a personal invite to the entire BKS faction. If you guys want to come on this show and you got something to say to me, come along. I'd be happy to talk to you about your careers. You guys are some of the most talented people I've seen in the world, including Axel and all of y'all. Funkman has been around for quite some time. John Skinner definitely changed the game. Dallas Goldman has been doing his thing ever since, and so on and so forth. VIP, all you guys. I'm mentioning the entire BKS. Okay. You guys want to come on here and run your mouths. You got something you want to say, you're invited. Episode 11, the next episode of City of Impact, BKS, if they have the guts to show up, then I would like to personally invite all you guys on here, and I'm not going to cancel the show. Guarantee, I give you my word that I am not going to cancel the show this time. Okay? There you are. Hopefully that'll settle that. What else do we got? VIP. We should have a WCW Nitro for one night only. Well, VIP, I don't know if your head has been in your ass or where have you stuck that thing, but obviously, because of what happened at the end of the last ECW Christmas show, I mean, I don't know about no WCW Nitro, but we're definitely getting that one night WCW for Christmas. This December, WCW returns in JTV Wrestling, of course. And I think it's going to be emotional. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be interesting to see a lot of the old school WCW guys coming back. WWE is not going to give that to you. No other promotion is going to give that to you. We're going to see what everybody looks like in a modern era. It's going to be a little emotional for me to go back. I'm sure No Kills is probably going to be in the building, considering he goes way back in the old school JTV. And me and him really were around a lot of these people back in PlayStation 1 and whatnot, and then 64. But it's going to be dope. I think WCW coming back in December of this year is going to be amazing for JTV. We brought ECW back for 2 years. A lot of people loved it, a lot of big ratings. And I think that WCW coming back, doing business our way, our style, is going to be dope. I look forward to seeing a lot of the classics, and a lot of the folks who are still with us, and God bless all the ones that are not with us anymore. Macho Man, Randy Savage, so many people that we've lost. That we'll be more than happy to pay tribute to them that night when it's Christmas and we do the WCW stuff. So I don't know about no WCW Nitro, but you never know. It could be an extra WCW Nitro. That's not a bad idea. But WCW is pretty much coming back for December. JTV Wrestling 2025. Look forward to it right here on this channel. I'm hyped. For those that don't know, get the opportunity to know. And for those who do know, get an opportunity to relive and go back in time and to see old faces. You know what I mean? And I'm very much so looking forward to that. I got 13 people tuning in. Appreciate the love. Smash the like button. I'm very happy to answer whatever questions y'all have. I'm going through the comment section. So if you have questions, post them in there and I'll be happy to talk about it. Whatever you want. You can even ask me about that low budget SYM if you want. Whatever you like. I'll talk about whatever you like. But we're having fun here. All right. What else do we have? It looks like Burke Lawson is speaking to me. Burke Lawson, the Skull Brotherhood. Really, the Skull Brotherhood is JTV's Ministry of Darkness. Do I think that? Absolutely. Ministry of Darkness was a major deal in the WWF back in the day. A fantastic faction, one of my favorites personally. Do I think that the Skull Brotherhood measures up to that and equal the same thing? Absolutely. When you take Mutant Mark and you take Jason Hudson and you take Marcus Holloway and you take everybody that was there back in the day that made the Skull Brotherhood what it was, absolutely. If you've done your research or you know your history of JTV, you understand that the Skull Brotherhood It's pretty much the Illuminati of JTV Wrestling. This faction, this dark entity, uh, has been around for quite some time, and for some reason, you bastards just won't go away. And personally, y'all have running ins with Kevin Impact in the past, and don't get me too hyped. Don't get me too hyped to try to put those boots back on and to try to see if I could get another whack at the Skull Brotherhood, because me getting in the ring with Burke Lawson and any one of you dark ass bastards, I mean, it works for me. But I mean, they're back in JTV. The Skull Brotherhood is a faction within JTV that is symbolic, historic, has absolutely left their indelible mark on the history of JTV, and I give y'all respect for that. You know what I mean? The Skull Brotherhood is a stain in JTV that cannot be removed. We cannot escape it. We cannot run from it. And it has had an impact on a lot of people's careers, including mine. Now, it's just interesting the way things continue to build up. Burke Lawson is back. There's been fire. There's been darkness. Y'all been moving in secrecy from left to right. Everybody's been trying to wrestle, get some work in, win championship belts, do their thing, make an impact, if you will. And the Skull Brotherhood is just there lingering, watching, stalking, tuning in. So I'm wondering, because personally, JTV is what it is, and the Skull Brotherhood is its own entity. Y'all do what y'all do. Y'all be lingering. Y'all be tuning in. Anytime you're ready to make a move, I'm just going to go out on a limb. You better make sure that the moves that you make are right. And if you make a move on me, you never know what to expect. So be on the lookout for that, Skull Brotherhood. What else do you got? I got Chris Conscience talking to me. Yes, sir. Do you see Miss J in a magazine like what's it say, Jet Beauty of the Week? I think magazines and JTV is an excellent idea. I definitely feel like if we had magazines going on, I think would be kind of cool. Magazine covers and whatnot. We've tried to do that before with the wrong people. And I think that, if we try to go for that again, I don't think it'd be a bad idea at all. I think it'd be cool. Miss J would make an excellent cover. So shout out to Miss J from Kevin Impact. And that's that. What else? Let me see what else I can answer. Mark Bannon. Mark, I've talked to you a couple of times and you just drift off into the unknown. I don't know, man. If you're going to come back on here and talk to me, it's got to be interesting. It's got to be, you got to talk to me, because you come on here and you're kind of quiet and it just gets a little weird. You know what I mean? So if we're going to have you back on the show, it's got to be interesting. I definitely have some interest in diving into your league days and whatnot, EFED days. I don't think you did EFED league days, for you. Maybe some of that could go on. But if you're not going to talk to me, there's just no point. We've already talked to you. You've had your time in the sun. You'll want to come back on City of Impact, win some more matches, you bastard. Win some more matches, do some more things, get my attention, and then maybe you'll come back on here. But as far as I'm concerned, I have a few guests hit me up, a few people I've talked to that are ready to come on here in a few episodes. But episode 11, like I said, I had an open slot, open opportunity, and I've just given it to BKS if they're willing to invade this show and speak their minds, and we'll see what we can put together. So episode 11 is going to be BKS if they show up. I'll keep you in mind for future episodes, brother. What else do we have? VIP. VIP says, I still want to be on City of Impact. I got a lot I can talk about. Really? I mean, I believe you. I think you might have a lot to talk about. I think you could probably come on here and just run me down for the rivalries we've had in the matches that you've had. That's a lot of history to talk about. Episode 11, City of Impact. The opportunity will be there, brother. I will definitely be recapping your career, looking into your career like I did with Maverick to prepare for this event. I'm going to be reviewing your career again, going through this channel, going through your matches and some of your best moments, and I'll be talking to you about them along with the rest of the gang if y'all have the cojones to come on here and come talk to me. Okay? We got no kills putting up a fire symbol. Sir, I definitely want to talk to you when the time is right. We definitely have a lot of things to discuss, you and I. A lot of things we got to catch up on. So I look forward to having that man on here real soon. And it's going to get real edgy, real controversial. You're probably going to need a condom for that episode. No pun intended. All right. What else do we have? Maverick says he sent me a text. Please read it when you can. I'm going to try to do that right now. Hopefully I don't get kicked out. But if I get kicked out, I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Give me a moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if y'all can still hear me. Oh, never mind. Just a few minutes ago, I done had Maverick, but it looks like we've lost him. So if he pops up, I'm going to keep checking to see. Yeah, we got Maverick back for just a little bit. We got him back. So we might get some Maverick. We might get him back. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep talking. Smart Move Impacto. Yes, sir. Y'all lucky that I can be on there flaming you guys. What else do we have? Come back next year, Maverick. It's not, I'm reading y'all comments. Controversy makes moves. Called Brotherhood. BKS episode might be looking tough. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see if they're going to be looking tough. I mean, it's going to, they have the opportunity to talk to me on the mic. I'm still taking any more questions y'all might have or whatever y'all want to talk about. Let me know. All right, I see this one comment by Chris Conscience. I think Ray should step into the City of Impact. I've had conversations with Mr. Burke Lawson, Shadow X-Ray, Ray Nakai, whatever the hell he calls himself. I mean, I guess he's going by Ray Nakai these days after that excellent MPW show that dropped in Japan. Let me just say that I think he did a fantastic job with y'all. I think Conscience did fantastic on commentary, holding it down. Great show, very interesting things that went on. You had Jacob Kilo, I think, went up against Mark. I might be wrong about that. And Mark got the opportunity to become the Genesis champion. I thought that was dope. Ray went up against Kenny Omega in one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in Call. Outstanding main event. I thought it was great. The way the show transitioned. A lot of the matches, even if they started slow, they picked up the pace and they worked themselves into a classic. So I thought it was a fantastic program in Japan. MPW has been doing their stuff. I think we need to get a little bit more active. I think MPW needs some more podcasts. We need some more AI type of shows on the side while we do PvP stuff. You know what I mean? This channel, I've been trying to keep as active as I can for y'all, making the effort, doing my part, having fun with y'all. And I think Ray just needs to get his product, kind of more active. I mean, we can't there shouldn't be a few months going by without you dropping a podcast, talking to somebody, doing some sort of even simulated wrestling shows. So in my opinion, I think that MPW needs to just get back on that. But the Japan show I thought was fantastic, in my opinion. So Ray coming on here, talking, discussing stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's already planned. I can spoil that. And that's the thing about JTV, that we're so OP with it that we could literally spoil 10 things in a row, and we got like 98 more things that we haven't spoiled yet. It's just how we are, you know? So I can spoil that Ray's going to be on here at some point. I'm not going to tell you when, but at some point in time, Ray's going to be coming on here, and he's got a story to tell that some people might not like. You know, and so I want to give opportunity for people to tell their stories, come on here, speak to me. So I'm looking forward to the episode with Mr. Lawson coming on here, you know, and hopefully we can breach the gap, and maybe I could learn a thing or two about that guy. And I mean, maybe we can come on here, talk, and get everything straightened out. You never know. Maybe, just maybe, I can cure us from the Skull Brotherhood. You never know. But I look forward to talking with him, seeing how it turns out. So for sure, Mr. Conscience, my boss man, that's my boss right there. Yes, sir. Uh, Definitely, Burke Lawson will definitely be on here speaking his mind. So that's that. What else y'all got? Thank you, sir. My appearance on Heel Turn. Yeah. Had fun last night. You know, tape show. It was dope. We talked about a lot of interesting things. I thought I'm interested in having those guys coming on here. They'll get their episode at some point. You know, have Trev on here and have the Buck One on here. Come on, and you know, show them some love. Give them the opportunity to have their own episode. I definitely would like to invite them. I wanted to tell them yesterday. I didn't get a chance to tell them off air because the Buck man had to go take care of his little boy. You know what I mean? The baby was in the background, so I respect that. So we had to end the show a little sooner than expected, but it went pretty well. We talked about a lot of stuff going on in the WWE, and it's always fun. You know, if Corey's bitch ass, you know, would stop being a bitch and would come on more often, I think it would be good. I think he should be on Heel Turn more often, speaking his mind. But, you know, Corey Flash has got more important things to do. And tweet about dudes with wigs on. So that's besides the point. You know, don't hate the messenger. So that's that. Much love to the All-Star kid, Corey Flash. You know, but it is what it is with him. Whatever. And you know, he should be on there. If Corey has something he want to say to me, man to man, whether on here or face to face off camera, I mean, we could do that too. You know, that's no issues. But I got a lot of love for the guy, a lot of love for this kid. More power to him. But for sure, I enjoyed my appearance on Heel Turn. I suggest y'all check it out. You could check my social medias on Facebook if you're looking for that. I might try to find a way to share it on here to have it posted so that y'all can get the link. I think I'm going to do that. I'll do that after this show. You know, so for those of y'all that want to check out the video, I think I don't know if he's there on YouTube yet. I think they posted on Facebook. I could be wrong. I think they posted on YouTube and not Facebook yet, but I might be wrong. So you want to check into it. But I appreciate that, Mark. I appreciate everybody. A couple of people hit me up this morning about the show, tuning into it. Thank you so much for the support. It means a lot to me. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You know what I mean? Y'all rock. Y'all absolutely rock. Y'all are superstars. But we are superstars together, and that's what makes us different. We're all together in this shit, rocking it. It's not just one person. So depending how high I go, I'm taking all you motherfuckers with me. Y'all are all coming with me. If we went viral or some shit, I want every last one of you bastards that made the effort to come with me. I'm mentioning all of y'all. If I'm on Oprah Winfrey show or whatever, I'm mentioning Shendon, Chris Conscience, Corey Flash, Mark Bannon, Bandit. I'm mentioning everybody. That's just how I am. I'm not like Corey Flash going on like a high media show and don't mention JTV. Fuck him. You know what I mean? I beat his ass with a pot. Fuck wrong with him. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's see what else. Let's see what other questions y'all got. Yes, sir. Adam Connor. JTV is place to be IMO. I agree with you, man. I think the product is hot right now. This is definitely the place to be in call. We've been doing our thing. I take a lot of pride in this, unlike a few CAW owners who've accused me of being toxic. Um, they could kiss my ass with their mother's mouths. That's how I look at that. But we're here. We're making an impact. Y'all know me. I am not PG at all. I don't give a damn about nobody's opinion. And that's just what it is. You can either hate me for offending you, or you can just love me because you passed me the mic and you'd have made a mistake, because I'm gonna say some shit, and that's just that. you know so it's all love. It is all love at the end of the day. And it makes me feel good. It makes me feel good that I get to play a pivotal role in y'all careers to help y'all. You know what I mean? I take a lot of pride in it. So I appreciate you signing with this administration, being a part of it. Adam Connor, we're going to talk some business down the road. I want to talk to you about something that I'm not going to say on here. But, you know, you've been doing your stuff. I've been seeing a lot of people stepping up. I'm having a blast. What else y'all got? I don't see no other comments. Um, I think, is this a comment? Let me see. It says VIP Skinner Axel Doubt. I don't know what you're saying, Shen. I don't understand what you mean by what you're saying, but yeah, every last one of you sacks of shit are going to be invited if you want to be on the episode 11. I'm giving you the opportunity. You have the chance to come on here and attempt to try to compete with me on the mic. And I'm happy to hear what y'all have to say. You know what I mean? I don't like you bastards, but I do have respect for y'all in terms of your talent and what you mean to the industry. So I have to say that openly. I care about call. I care about wrestling. So in hindsight, I do respect BKS to a certain extent, even though they put a beat down on me, you know, because you guys been doing your thing. You've been making noise. You've been doing what you have to do. A lot of people want to be in BKS. It's very popular, kind of like the NWO was in the 90s. Um, this is the greatest version of BKS that ever was. This is BKS. There wasn't a BKS before. This is BKS. I was just out of my mind, and this is a good time. Um, I think that there's ways that things can be done, but at the same time, I do respect a little bit of the intellect that BKS brings to the table, because in this business, you do have to take the initiative and be ready to kick doors down and break rules and offend people. And that's kind of Kevin Impact. So, what I mean? It kind of goes hand in hand. Um, I just think that a mistake was made when they decided to put hands on me. And thank God that I'm man enough to just leave it alone. I'll say that. But next episode, if y'all want to come on here, I won't leave it alone. Next episode, if y'all want to come chat, by all means, you're all invited. First class ticket to episode 11 of City of Impact. Come on down. All right. So I'm going to try to keep talking to y'all. I'm going to try to go into the third hour if possible. If not, we'll close out. I'm going to try to keep checking to see if Maverick comes back. But I'm taking questions still. If y'all have any more questions, Maverick is not back yet. I don't see him. If you have any questions, if you want to talk to me about something, whatever it is, you can ask me about tampons, whatever you want. I'm listening. I'm reading. What do you got? Any other questions? All right, I'm scrolling. Well, to reiterate for Adam Connor, obviously the next guest that I'm in, it's open. Episode 11 is open, City of Impact. It's open right now. But I've invited BKS, and if BKS is willing to accept, whether in this comment section or whatever, then I will honor that, and I won't cancel the show. You have my word. So if BKS wants to come along, or if you want to come along, episode 11, Adam Connor, just let me know. right here. What else do we have? I don't see anything interesting in the comment section, just a lot of shit talk. Who is your top 5 tag teams in JTV right now? Top 5 tag teams in JTV right now. I got to think about that one. I'm holding my hand up, 5 fingers. Man, I'm trying to think of how to answer that. Do I answer that as the 5 best tag teams or as the 5 of my personal favorites? I got to think about that. I'll probably combine both and answer it like that. I'll probably say that the 3-way deadlock is interchangeable. It can be a combination of Marcus with Nyx, Mr. Amazing with Marcus or Nyx, or Marcus with any one of them. You know, it's exchangeable. So tag teams, 3-way deadlock, interchangeable. It could be any one of them. I would say that works. I would say that the Seal family also is interchangeable. So I would put the Seal family as tag team, both of those 2 teams combined. I would be remiss in mentioning Johnny Franchise and Russ Walker. Russ Walker was managing for quite some time. He was, you know, sort of someone who dealt with the image of a talent for the longest time, not to flat out say manager, but in hindsight, he really is a manager. I mean, let's just call it what it is, you know. And I would say the 3-way deadlock, I would say the Seal family, and I would say through direct deposit for sure. Regrettably, I would have to say BKS because BKS is also interchangeable because you can mix and match. You know what I mean? And I think last but not least will be the Iron Misfits, I guess. Iron Misfits would be my another group that is not it can be interchangeable, but Convell has kind of been out of the loop, which is funny that I say that because once upon a time he was going by Convell Lupo somewhere else. He's been out of the loop, and it's really been about Mark and Dan, you know. So those would be the 5 groups right there for Adam Connor. What else do we have? Mark mentioned the Treasury. Treasury, once upon a time, was a great tag team. Tommy Hawkins, Dallas Goldman, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the greatest tag team champions of all time. They work really well together, you know, coming from the Evolution Club and in the leagues back in the day with Shandon and Matt Dagger and all of them. I think Barty was a part of that team. There was a few others, Cerberus. There was a lot of people that come out of that cloth, cut from that tree, you know. So definitely shout out to the Treasury for sure. They aren't around anymore. You know what I mean? Now Tommy just wants to murder Dallas Goldman. And if, like I said, if BKS is willing to accept my invite, I'd be more than happy to talk to Dallas Goldman about that and his rebuttal to what Tommy had to say in that video that Tommy put out. He was talking kind of fast, you know, but he made enough sense to me. He called that man out. He wants a piece of his ass. And as a creative writer for JTV Wrestling, answering to my boss, Chris Conscience, and talking with Shendon, I think that there's possibilities of us getting some Tommy Hawkins and some Dallas Goldman at Ultimate Showdown 6. Y'all let me know. Let me know what y'all think. What else do we have? Okay, I'm going to reiterate this again. Next show, the very next show for JTV Professional Wrestling is going to be Next Gen. The very next episode of Next Gen emanates live from Phoenix, Arizona. I have a very intricate, interesting championship match that I'm going to present to you, the audience, and the wrestlers and fans worldwide We have a major championship match that's going to be taking place at that event. I'm going to be inviting a special guest to that event, and a lot of things are going to be happening at this Next Gen. As for the first time ever, Next Gen will be in 4K quality. A lot of big things are going to happen that night. It is going to be an excellent night for professional wrestling and call. There's going to be excellent wrestling matches, as well as a lot of talent in that building. A lot of new things that we have not tried before that we're going to try for y'all as we head into a new direction. As a matter of fact, if I didn't mention this before, I'll say it again. Next Gen is also getting a brand new video intro to the show. A new intro is going to happen. There is someone who has seen the beta version to it. I'm not going to say any names, but someone has seen the beta version to it. And I'm sure Shendon is going to eat his heart out because he is not that guy who has seen the Vader version to it. But the Vader version to it is dope. I love the new intro to Next Gen that's coming. It's going to be fantastic. And hopefully we can get it out. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. The show's already done, but it has to be re-edited because of the issue that I've had. We've had PC issues, so it has to be completely redone from scratch again. And that's how much I love y'all that I'm willing to do that. It's just passion and love. So we will do that. We'll figure it out. And we're going to go in 4K going forward. And it's going to be dope. Retro Slam in 4K, Next Gen, Mega Rush, Ultimate Showdown 6, Chemical Warfare. I mean, it's just going to be dope. 2K 25. So looking forward to that. It's going to be a big event. And with all that, also a breaking announcement will come in the next episode of Next Gen. That's going to be the next wrestling show for us. If I had to assume, I'm going to say that after Next Gen, we're going to get some Retro Slam. I'm going to work with Shandini to operate JTV19. JTV19 is coming back in a big way. For the first time ever, it's going to be in 4K. Him and I are going to work together. I'm going to listen to him, and I'm looking forward to seeing what match card he has for y'all for the next episode of JTV19. I'm excited to see, and I'm hoping to hear from y'all, man. Get them old school Next Gen promos going, like how we had in the page. Looking forward to that, seeing y'all on camera and seeing y'all talk shit. That's what this business is all about. That's what this promotion is all about. Let's do it, baby. What else do we got? Oh, God damn it, Conscience. Man, Conscience asking me a big question right here. He says, what are your favorite women matches? I don't know, man. I got a lot of women's matches. I think I hold Trish Stratus and Lita main event in Raw. I don't know if it was in 04, 05, 06. I hold that match in high regards. I know Mark is going to come in the comment section and correct me, but I hold that match in high regards as the early steps of the women's revolution. I really like that battle royal from Raw that was garbage. That Gail Kim wrote out of, because in many ways I feel like Gail Kim started the women's revolution back in 05, 04, whatever. She wrote out the ring, and she sent a message to the boss man that we're not just, bikini matches and lame battle royales. We can wrestle, we can tell stories, we can be the main event. And with all due respect, I think that women can be the main event from time to time. I think there's lackadaisical conditions that come into effect. That's just me telling the truth. Don't hate me. You know what I'm saying? Not every woman's match is a main event, but there can be women matches that are main event. That's the reason on Retro Slam we took Aja Kong, and we took Bull Nakano, and we each gave them both their teams. They got teams in the main event of Retro Slam because Bull Nakano and Aja Kong are absolute legends. Mainstream legends. I respect them more than I respect Seth Rollins, Logan Paul, Charlotte Flair, and all these mediocre people. You know what I mean? I give them all the respect in the world, but it's all love, So it's a lot of matches, Conscience, too much to focus on. I don't want to think. I just want to answer questions. But I'll give you some. I'll give you some more. I'll give you Jacqueline and Ivory. You know what I'm saying? Good TV. Just since you want to test my gangster, since you want to test my gangster, I'll give you actual stuff. Let me see. Um, let me see. I'm trying to think. Women's matches that I could think of that I really like. Shit, I don't know that I could think of many. I think I got to hold in high regards. I think it was WrestleMania 22. You had Mickey James and Trish. I thought that was cool. Um, it was a little weird. It got a little weird, but that they put on good programming. Um, like I said, it's a deep thought. I need to think. I need to think. I need to think about it. There's interchangeable situations. Like I like Jacqueline working with, I guess, Sable. I like Jackie working with Mark Marrow, I believe. I really like Sable working with Mark Marrow. It's interchangeable because it's male and female. Um, man, I really got to think. It's a steep thought when it comes to that. That's a real good question because I got to think deep about that shit. Because I can tell you about talented women, but I need to think deep about like me women's matches that I liked. Man, I gotta think. I really got to think about that because I could tell you so many talented people, but women's matches that I liked. I mean, there weren't a lot of. I mean, if I'm bullshit, I'm gonna give you some bullshit right now. I'm gonna give you a fake answer and say Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson. You know what I mean? That's not a good response. That's the stuff they did with the bikini matches, bra and panties or whatever, you know what I mean? I still think it was innovative. You know what I mean? You got a lot of really soft ass sensitive people who come after that. Look, the bikini match stuff that went on, the mud matches, it was innovative. When Miss Kitty went against Ivory, I think it was in the mud match, it was innovative. You know what I'm saying? I think Barbara Bush, BB, if y'all remember her, doesn't get enough credit. She was all right for a little bit in the WWF. Um, Terry Runnels, I think, needs a little bit more credit, not in the ring, but just for her time in the company, what she did. You know, more recognition for a lot of these women. You know, Ivory, I think she went into the Hall of Fame. She's good. Victoria needs a little bit more respect. Miss Jackie needs more respect. You know, I want to mention names. Luna Vachon needs a shit ton of more respect. Luna Vachon was a beast back in the day. She was the first woman that was featured in the WWE games, I believe, back in the day. So going back when my brother had, you know, I guess you could say the original JTV back in the Super Nintendo days and all that stuff before I had uh, acquired or taken over or did my own story. You know, my brother, arguably a JTV Hall of Famer, and I'm sure somebody's gonna run with this. I shouldn't mention it, but my brother, I had a brother of mine both of my brothers used to have wrestled in JTV. One of them, not so much. He had other things going on, but one of my brothers that No Kills knows goes by the name of Player One. He actually wrestled No Kills, and that's on tape. So y'all are probably going to get that on this channel real soon on the old archive shows of JTV. So look out for that very soon. I'm very fucking excited. Excuse my language, but I'm excited. I'm very excited about introducing the old JTV shows to y'all, where y'all get to see the old school Andy Newsom when he was out of college, the university, and he was wrestling people like me and Willie Tex. No Kills, remember Willie Tex and all of them. Kent Robert, was Flash tag team partner. A lot of old school people that y'all don't know about. That's why I don't mention them. But once we go public, you're gonna know about these people. So remember the name Kent Robert, the professional, you know, the Corpse, Nightmare, Flash, of course, you know, the Newsom Club, Andy Newsom. It's been so many people back in the day from the old JTV before we were on the air that you're gonna get to know. This is kind of like what WWE did with WWE 24/7, if y'all remember that, or the network. So I'm excited to show y'all that very, very soon. You get to see the old school matches of No Kills and everybody else. But I'm losing my thought here. There's been a lot of women that deserve a lot of respect, man. Opinion, that, in my opinion, were goats of the industry that did their shit for the longest time. Um, and I'll leave it at that because I got to put too much thought into it. What else do we got? Conscience mentioned Luna Vachon and Sable. I think he meant to say, yeah, man, absolutely, absolutely. A lot of them deserve a lot of respect, and the WWE just doesn't give it to them. You know what I mean? It's been a lot of them that don't get enough mention. They should be on TV today. Luna Vachon should have her own battle royal. Uh, Sable should be mentioned. She should be on WWE TV. You know, I'm happy that they brought Francine back and Dawn Marie for the ECW NXT show, but there's so many of them that should be mentioned, talked about, and it doesn't happen. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why that has to be the case, but we give all this airtime to this worthless uh, scumbag Charlotte Flair. You know what I mean? Just a waste of time, a waste of airtime, bro. That shit is a waste of airtime to put that woman on TV, and they keep doing it because of the money, because of the ratings. You know what I mean? It's terrible, man. Um, Let me see. If we get ready to close things out. Oh, I think Maverick is back. No, he's not back. Maverick is listening and commenting. Man, there's so many comments. Damn. Y'all got so many comments. Oh man. Where do I go? Let's see. If Maverick comes back, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you back, Maverick. Came back. Um, I'm trying to catch up. I apologize. Okay, VIP talking. I don't know who he's talking to. Uh, Champion, do not forget it. I just tuned in to watch the podcast, says Adam Connor. Corey bitch ass be running. I agree with that. I will be world heavyweight champion, says Maverick. I want to see it, man. Shannon says you got to prove a lot to earn my world championship. I agree. What other comments we got? Let's see. Okay, I answered that question. Enigma number one, Treasury. What are your favorite women matches? I was on that. Who is. Oh, man, I've been asked this a bunch of times. Y'all are stressing me out with this question. Adam Connor asked, who is your favorite JTV Mount Rushmore? It can be anyone past or present. Ooh. Well, Mount Rushmore only has 4 people on it, so that means I can only pick 4 people. I might cheat and pick 5. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I have to start with Shendon if I'm going to mention Mount Rushmore. Dude has just been on a tear. He's been doing his thing since day one. He's been proving me wrong since day one, which I can respect, that I can appreciate. World's heavyweight champion, multi-time champion. Well, considerable, uh, multiple championship reigns, I should say, and lengthy reigns at that. So, you know, I would put him on there. Um, the next guy would probably be No Kills. No Kills is a man who, if it wasn't for him, I don't know if we would be here today. I don't think you guys understand how important he was to JTV back in the day. This guy absolutely just held it down with me. It was the beginning. I think me and No Kills was kind of like the Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage of the old school JTV back in like the 2000 era and whatnot. Excuse me one moment. I had to mute myself so I could sneeze. So yeah, I would put No Kills up there with Shen as the Mount Rushmore. And I don't want anybody to be mad at me. I just think that you guys have to work. I mean, to get to the Mount Rushmore of JTV is just such a high pedestal to climb. You know what I mean? And there's reasons why No Kills is up there. Very good reasons that I would have to expose to the world as time goes on through archives and video footage for you to understand why would I put him up there. It is a tough question to answer because there's a lot of people there. There's a lot. And I am having difficulty thinking about who else am I going to put on there. You know, it's tough for me. It's very tough for me. I'm gonna keep it honest. I don't want to lie to y'all, and y'all don't know him like that. Some of you do, but I'm gonna put King Leo. King Leo was there back in the day with me, and No Kills. He definitely led the way. You know, some people knew him as King Size. Don't expect you to know him, but this person was a big deal back then, and absolutely a JTV Hall of Famer, should be in there. You know, I would definitely put him in there if he would allow me to, and would love to talk to him face to face when he's ready, man to man. So it's going to be Shen, No Kills, King Leo, and I really have to think about that last entry. I really got to think about it because we're talking about, you know, at the very top, like that they just changed the game. You know, it's tough, man. It's really difficult. The cheap answer would be someone like Kevin Impact. It would be, but it's not Kevin Impact. I'm not putting myself on there. It's hard. It's hard. I'm gonna say Corey Flash. Regretfully, I'm gonna say Corey Flash. I think Corey Flash would probably be the guy who, you know, will probably be it. I mean, I'm thinking of errors. I'm thinking of errors here. You know, No Kills and King Leo were there back in the day. Shendon's the guy who's top tier. Who else came along that really shattered shit? You know, I don't know that I could say Corey shattered things, but like he's someone that comes to mind, I guess. So I would have to say Shen, Corey, No Kills, and King Leo. So that's for your answer right there. What else do we got? Next question. Man, Adam Connor always comes with the best questions. I'm getting ready to close the show out here. I'm gonna go through the last few questions and then I'm gonna close the show out, okay? Let me make sure Maverick's not here. Okay, Maverick is not here. What moment do you think was groundbreaking moment or a moment that changed trajectory of JTV forever? I think that there's a few moments that I think changed JTV forever and the trajectory of the direction where we were headed. JTV seemed like it had gone through a few eras just out of nowhere, and that doesn't happen too often because a lot of shit just will be fucking played out. You know what I mean? Especially now, shit just will be played out in wrestling. You know, we understand that it seems like we're going through a bit of a chaos era. If I was to tell you the time and place where I believe that JTV had its pinnacle, its point, a breaking point of the most shocking time or whatever, I'm going to say right now. I'm going to say that right now is the moment where JTV has been shaken to its core because there's never been threats like this to JTV. I mean, you have so many factions, so many wrestlers, so many groups, family members. You have brothers. You know, you have couples in relationships. You have hungry people. This is the most shocking era in JTV in terms of the trajectory of time that has passed from point A to point B. This is it. This current 4K era, chaos era, whatever you want to call it in JTV. This is the time right now that has shaken this promotion to its core. So this is it, man. Y'all are living in anything close to the attitude era of anything and everything. This is the greatest time in JTV currently right now. And it's a good feeling because you was to think the past would have been it. The past was not it. The past JTV was great. It was all right, you know what I mean? But the current era of JTV is on fire. It is a torch that's lit and you can't put it out. So I'm digging it. Let me see what else y'all got before I close the show out. I think Shandon has a question. Was it Impact's heel turn more shocking or shocking or Shandon's more shocking? It's interesting both then started then villainous turns. This is I feel like Shannon is just tooting his own horn with this question. This pile of shit. Um I don't know that I can answer that question, to be honest. I think the fans and anybody that watched it, their interpretation would decipher, um, which heel turn they thought was more shocking, whether Impacts or Shendon's with BKS. Uh, so I can't tell you specifically, but I mean, Impact, the decision that I took to be involved with BKS was definitely shocking because the online world had never seen that side of me. You know what I mean? You're going to see old school me soon. And I have showed that side of me in the past, but y'all have never seen it. So to bring that to the online world, I felt was shocking because it was like, okay, this is happening. And I actually got some hate for it, for involving myself with BKS. And I accepted that because I thought I was making the right decision to try to help this product and the faction out. Shendon going into BKS is a little different and interesting because it just seems to me like there's more to that story that we don't know about yet. But I will say that Shendon taking over BKS, I mean, you did what you had to do. What can I say? You had your dogs jump on me, pummel me, bloody me, beat me up, and you took over what was mine. You know what I mean? I've never really given up at anything, whether it was no kills or whoever. I fought for my life. But life is an interesting word. Life has its timing. Once upon a time, I was a great wrestler in JTV. I was a top guy. And now I'm just somebody that used to be that. And I'm okay with that. I'm very proud of everybody's progression. I have no problem with Shannon being the next guy after me who is sort of running the show for now. and I'm secretly I am proud of the guy. He has stepped up to the plate. I want people to step up to the plate, whether bad or good. He's doing his job. So for me, it might be Shendon. As a fan, I think it's probably going to be Shendon. But everybody has their opinion, what they think. Maybe you like mine's better. Maybe you like his better. There's no wrong or right answer. It's whatever you like. You know what I mean? I have no problem with either answer, either way. I've done my part in the industry. I'm very proud of what I've done. I'm very proud of everything. I don't have any regrets. Don't take nothing back. So I think that it's up to the other person, to the next person, to interpret how they feel, which heel turn, or I should say, which exchange they like better. Whether you joining BKS or me joining BKS. There's no right or wrong answer. What else y'all got? Man, Conscience put me on the spot here. An update on JTV Films. So, I've had conversation with Chris Conscience. Chris Conscience has voted and has made the decisions of for you guys that we're going to try to incorporate AI technology into the Terminator Last Call film. I work with Shendon. We have filmed different things that we can tell you about. I don't want to be too specific, but at the same time, we film a lot of different content and are still managing the film. I did relay the message to Shendon about some of the things Conscience had decided, the decision he made for the film, and we're slowly working to try to make it the very best that we can. Originally, we were going to go with some of the natural things that we have in GTA. We're going to be completely honest with you. But now it seems like we're not going to do that. We're going to try to reiterate, recap, recollect ourselves, and actually try to get you even better things in this movie. So a lot of it is filmed. We have a lot of footage. We have hours of the Terminator Last Call, but we've been waiting because we want to try to see if something's going to happen with this new Terminator coming out. We thought we can get you guys a lot of really good footage from the new Terminator coming out real soon to consoles, get some good footage, and also work with AI technology to attempt to get you guys an excellent story. What I can tell y'all in the beginning of the movie is that I'm intending to make it very dramatic and very sad. Okay, so keep that in mind. The film is going to be centered around several JTV people, top names, and Shendon is going to be one of the guys playing one of the Terminators in the film. I myself am going to have a bit of a role in the movie. Conscience is going to be in the movie along with several other JTV people, and we're going to try to make it much better than any Terminator movie you've ever seen, second to Terminator 2. Nothing is going to beat Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It is the greatest Terminator film ever created, and I love Terminator 1. But after that, everything else was just, it's all right, or it's not very great. You know what I mean? I don't understand why, but that's just how Hollywood is. We're not doing that. We're going to be focusing on a lot of controversial topics, a lot of interesting things, topics such, I mean, obviously time travel because it's Terminator, but we're going to be trying to go in depth with the idea. So the soundtrack to the movie is going to be dope. You know, the storyline, we're going to take our time with it and just make it interesting for you and really mess with your head a lot. We're going to be doing that a lot. It's going to be very emotional. It's going to be very dark. It's going to be exciting. It's going to hype you up. It's going to make you cry. It's going to make you feel everything. You're going to need all the snacks that you can get for the movie because everything is going to be compiled into it. There's going to be things you're going to hate. There's going to be things you're going to be like why? There's going to be things you're going to be like, yo, that breaks my heart. There's going to be things you're going to be like, damn, like that makes me think of something that happened to me. So that's kind of like where we're going with it. You know what I mean? Instead of just a typical time traveling, lame ass Terminator movie that just focuses on nonsense. You know, we're not doing that. So when you watch this movie, you're pretty much going to be like, holy shit. That's kind of like what we want to go for. So we're going to aim at that. And I think we're going to get you. Whoever's listening to this, I think we're going to get you. And you're going to be like, damn, they got me. They got me good. So that's that. That's what you can expect. That's your update for JTV Films Terminator Last Call, coming real soon. Hopefully this year, because I really want to get it out and watch that. And I can also tell y'all that we do have interest in continuing the Streets of Rage. I have interest in working with Mr. Amazing for possibly Streets of Rage 2, since we already have one. I have some interest in working with Shendon for Road Rash 2, which I think would be fantastic. We're waiting for GTA 6. What's going to happen? Director mode, all that stuff is going to be important. We're going to be doing other stuff that I can't tell you about, but we're going to be implementing ideas and we're going to be taking precaution for the future and stability and well-being of JTV Films. I can tell you that. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be dope. I'm excited. And I think we got a lot of good stuff going on. I think I could say Streets of Rage 2, Road Rash 2 is confirmed. I think I can tell you that. There were other films that we had in place Some are being held back. There's potential for a Friday the 13th film. If y'all want to see that, feel free to let me know in the comments. But there's possibilities of us doing that. There's been conversations as we wanted to go into sort of the horror department. So that's that. I'll leave that alone and I'm going to keep moving on. Let's see what else y'all got. All right, I'm seeing just chit chat. I'm not really seeing any questions. I see No Kills talking trash to me about Charlotte. I think this is a really weird question, but I'll answer it just to not run from it. Barry Brand. I mean, that's a really strange question to ask. Would Maverick ever be faced? I mean, I'm gonna just give you a simple answer and just scroll past it. I mean, time will tell. You know what I mean? Time will tell. I mean, but he's really being a good guy right now. You know, he tagged him with Corey Flash and all this shit he did. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a good guy right now, I guess you could say. But I mean, is he really a good guy? This is Maverick we're talking about. Anything is possible with that dude, you know. What other questions y'all got? We've passed the 3 hour mark. We're 3 hours and 14 minutes into the show. I'm happy to answer more questions if y'all got it. Anything that might interest me, I've already talked about Terminator Last Call. Oh, how interesting. Yeah. Adam Connor said, yeah, it's like I said, I wasn't reading comments when I was saying that. I was just casually talking. But yeah, like I said earlier, I'm going to say it again, highlighting this question. We're considering a Friday the 13th movie because we want to try to tap into the horror aspect of film. A lot of the films that we put out for JTV Films, if you don't know this, you should know that on this playlist on this channel, you have movies that JTV has made, JTV Films. I think they're pretty good. You might agree or you might disagree, but you can still check them out, get your own opinion. We've made a few of them over the years, even reenacting the old 1999 PlayStation 1 video game Siphon Filter. Siphon Filter was very, very influential in the making of JTV Wrestling. It's made an impact in the lives of No Kills, myself, my brother, a couple people, including King Leo. We mentioned him earlier. We all came up with this video game. So to us, Siphon Filter is a GOAT. It is a top tier game. A lot of people really go to Metal Gear Solid. Learn. I invite you to learn about Siphon Filter. Get to know it. Play the video game. Because Siphon Filter should be mentioned up there with Metal Gear Solid. Because that they were competitors once upon a time, like WCW and the WWF and ECW. So Siphon Filter is held in high regards here in JTV. It deserves more credit. It has not gotten the credit it deserves, but it deserves much more credit. So we did that movie. It took years, but we did that movie. We've done a few of them. So absolutely, is there potential for a Friday the 13th movie? There goes your hype all the way up. Okay. Here's another one I want to talk about. So we dropped a Power Ranger movie some years ago, and it's done pretty well on YouTube. Thousands of views. Quite possibly, really the most viewed video on our channel, on this channel. It was a project made at first just mainly for kids and just for fun. It was something that me and VIP discussed. We worked together on, talked about. And then we started putting all the characters in, and several JTV people that are here now and are not here anymore have participated in this film, and it did well. It did pretty good, you know. And me and VIP for years have talked about the possibility, because it was Power Rangers Rebirth. We talked about possibilities of a Power Ranger Rebirth Part 2. And I could tell you that I can honestly admit that we are intending on making a Power Rangers Rebirth Part 2. We're not thinking of doing it. We are planning to do it. So we could pretty much confirm that we're going to get a Power Rangers 2 Rebirth for JTV Films. It is something me and VIP have talked about. I do have interest in doing it, and I'm interested in putting the time to film it and to do it. So something to look out for. I think it would be great. I'm happy to hear your comments if you got something to say about it. That's that. What else do we have? What is this right here? JTV Films plans on doing a movie like RWBI. I have just the characters for it. What is RWBI? I'm kind of old. Fill me in on that. We're getting ready to close the show out. I just want to know. Fill me in on that. Give me some more insight, Nick Kaiken, and I'll answer that question. I want to move to Mark's question real quick. Will we ever do a zombie movie? I mean, it all really falls on GTA, Mark. You know, with this past Halloween, we had a zombie update for GTA. It was the first of its kind that I seen, anyways, and I thought it went well. So to me, I started exploring the possibilities of us doing zombie films. Colin is someone who's been wanting it for a long time. I'm sure you have as well, and other people. I think if we could put together a zombie movie, I think it'd be dope. It would be a bit of a work, but I think it's possible. I'm happy to share that. Like I said, we're moving into AI technology and stuff like that, different things we're implementing into JTV that I think is going to make things much more interesting. So anything is possible now for us to do. Um, so I think a zombie movie would be absolutely dope, considering that we're trying to go into like that horror aspect of film. A lot of the movies we put out for JTV Films have been more or so centered around action. You know, Streets of Rage, Road Rash, Siphon Filter, you know, even Power Rangers Rebirth have all been centered around action. And we want to try to tap into like the horror type of genre. You know what I mean? So we're going step by step with it. We don't want to put out shitty films, so we try to go step by step. I'm not going on a limb saying all of our films have been like dope, amazing, great creative writing, but I think they've been pretty good. And I think that as time goes on, I think we can only get better at telling stories, as proven by JTV creative and television storylines that have taken place thus far. So I'll answer that and I'll say that. Let's see what else we got. Fill me in. Ruby's an anime. RWBI stands for Ruby. Okay, got you. Let me go back. Okay, Ruby. Where was that question? Oh, hey, okay. Is Ruby an anime? I'm not anime savvy, and I don't pretend to be anime savvy. What I can tell you is, like, I like Inuyasha on Adult Swim. I used to watch that at midnight. I have respect for Bleach. I seen a little bit of Naruto with buddies of mine. I wasn't into it, but I liked it and I respect it and I enjoy the fights. Um, I mean, of course, counting them being animes, that is. I like Cowboy Bebop back in the day. Great intro, great show. When I hear the intro to Cowboy Bebop, I get emotional because it takes me back to 2001 when I used to game with a friend of mine. And No Kills met, I believe No Kills met this person. He used to go to school with me. And it reminds me of my childhood, my young life. It reminds me of my mom, who's not around anymore. And it just brings me back. It gives me goosebumps when I hear the intro to Cowboy Bebop. Um, and I could see him going into the JTV Hall of Fame just for the intro, let alone the anime. because you got to understand in JTV, the Hall of Fame is what we want it to be. You know what I mean? So, like, let's say we wanted to put, say, Steve Urkel in the Hall of Fame of JTV. We could do that. We could absolutely do that because it's our Hall of Fame. We do what we want to do. That's what makes it so fun and interesting. We can honor pop culture icons that we feel should go in. Michael Jackson, I think, should go in. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think Charlie Murphy is a good nominee for the Hall of Fame. Prince can go into the JTV Hall of Fame. Like, it's whatever we want it to be. Carl Winslow's character can go into the Hall of Fame. You see what I did there? So that's what's so fun about it, that we can just take it where we want it to go and have fun with it because people remember. You know what I mean? Richie from Family Matters might go into the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like, it's where we want it to go. Peter Griffin could go into the Hall of Fame. And that's why it's fun. That's why I like it, because somebody could just be awesome. Hey, I think, what you will call it, Boondocks should go into the Hall of Fame. I think Stewie Griffin should go into the Hall of Fame, and that's what makes it fun. It's whatever we want it to be. It's not just up to me. It's not just up to Impact, J Kid going, oh, we're going to put a specific person that I like in the Hall of Fame. No, not here, not in this promotion. In this promotion, it's, do you have an idea? Yeah, I got an idea. I think that maybe RoboCop should be in the Hall of Fame. Oh, good idea. Let's see if we can get a petition going on, and let's try to put them in the Hall of Fame. Let's try to put Rambo in the Hall of Fame. Different characters, different entities. And it makes it fun. It makes it interesting. I think Bruce Lee needs to go into the JTV Hall of Fame. Bruce Lee needs to be in there. Muhammad Ali needs to be in the Hall of Fame. No question about it, of JTV. Like, it's just where we want to go. And can you imagine the vast imagination, the depth of the JTV Hall of Fame if we was to tap into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Rap Hall of Fame, and we started putting Spike Lee in the Hall of Fame, and we put the Chili Peppers in the Hall of Fame and everything? Like, it's up to us. It's literally up to us who y'all think could go into this Hall of Fame. And I'm willing to say that I think Val Kilmer, God rest his soul, needs to go into the Hall of Fame. Losing him, to me, it did something for a couple of days, because this dude, it's part of that time for me, man. It really is. When Val Kilmer was doing his thing, I was in Florida. I mean, collecting little glass cups and everything. So it hurt me a little bit. It hurt me a little bit. And God rest Val Kilmer's soul. Just an amazing actor. Gone too soon. There was just no reason to take him. There's just so many people on this earth that are still breathing today that should not. Pedophiles and, people who just don't belong, bro. And they're still running around, living and breathing. Even people in call that don't deserve to be alive. You know what I mean? And you mean to take Val Kilmer and all these people? You know what I mean? You took Charlie Murphy from me. You took New Jack from me. Like, you took Scott Hall from me. I take it personally. You know what I mean? I'm still mad about the original La Parka going away. So it does hurt and it does bother me. Bruce Lee going away. A lot of these people, God bless Chuck Norris and people like that who we still got. We're blessed. Y'all don't understand how blessed we are to still have certain icons still around. You know what I mean? Erica Badu is still running around. You got a lot of people, man, that are still running around. Shaka Khan. Conscience knows that I love Shaka Khan. You know what I mean? Like, just, we got to respect these legends and honor them and enjoy them while they're still around. Whitney Houston, I mean, I'm not even going to get started because I don't want to go on too long, but it's just a lot of love that needs to be shown to a lot of people. And I want our Hall of Fame to be different. I want our Hall of Fame to have that vast feeling to it of just actual respect and people that should go in that should be honored. Not just wrestlers in JTV, but actual characters and people that should be honored. Like Walter White's character, Bryan Cranston, who was on my block filming with Kevin Hart a couple years ago when they was doing the Uptown or whatever it's called. I could have met Bryan Cranston on my block. I don't give a damn about Kevin Hart. I would have walked past him, but Bryan Cranston, oh man, I would have loved to shaking his hand and told him thank you for Malcolm in the Middle, thank you for Breaking Bad. You know what I mean? And Walter White, which is an excellent character on in picture and television, in shows. So it's a lot. It's a lot, guys. It's a lot, and I'm sure y'all probably overloaded the comment section with a whole bunch of stuff because I've been ranting. But it's a lot, and I want everything to mean something here. I want our shit to be important and to be special. You know what I mean? And to matter. And that's what I'm saying. There you go, Earl James Jr. I like that comment. Earl James Jr. should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. No Kills there's just going to be a special place in hell for No Kills for mentioning Will Smith for the Hall of Fame. Like, he's not going to regular hell. He's going to a special, intricate hell that he's going to for mentioning that one. God damn, he been spamming like crazy. How the hell he do that? How the hell he spam like that man spammed like 15 of the same messages in the same minute. That man, he pressing that special button. That man pressing that one button. God damn, he spammed like god damn. God damn, I gotta scroll up. I'm going to the 3 hour 30 minute mark here talking to y'all. This man spamming. Don't spam, man. None of that spamming. You can mention Will Smith if you want, but don't spam. We got let's see, what else do we have? You got some Tokyo Ghoul. Something about Eddie Guerrero's bio. Lisa for the Hall of Fame. I like that, Conscience. Yes, sir. Lisa, very underrated. You know, this woman right here deserves a lot more respect. I love Lisa, not just because I simped over her, but also because, she was fantastic, man. That the way she dressed, she was innovative, and she stepped up, and she still stays doing her shit today. You know what I mean? It's just that a lot of that music just doesn't appeal to the modern era. You know what I mean? The modern era is not looking for that. They're looking for like brain dead shit, Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj and Drake and trash ass shit like that. That's what they be looking for. Not everything is bad, but I mean, this generation couldn't possibly understand or appreciate Lisa, which is so weird because when I was coming up and I'd be watching the MTV music videos, I understood coming up that I had to respect Rakim and some of these people that were actual vocalists, actual artists that was putting out good shit and representing, and it gets me hyped. You know what I mean? I love Rakim, big fan. Cool Mo D, you know what I mean? I give respect to LL Cool J. LL Cool J is not like my cup of tea, but I give respect to the dude because he was an MC and he put it down. You know what I mean? And him and Kumo D had beef. A lot of people had beef. They say I'm just a friend, but you say I'm just a friend, Biz Marquee. It's a lot of legends that deserve a lot of respect, man. Just I could go on and on and on, and I'm trying not to because I'm trying to close the show out, but I'm just having too much fun with y'all. Just a lot, man. We got to give respect to all these people. We have to. We really have to. They just deserve a lot of respect. They really do, man. They changed pop culture, and that influenced me, and that influenced JTV. So y'all got to understand that, man. Tupac, Biggie, all this, there's influence. Nas, it's not just rap. It's movies. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Uh, I feel like Charles Bronson don't get enough respect. That's one of my favorite personal actors from back in the day. Charles Bronson don't get nobody talks about Charles Bronson. You know what I mean? Like, y'all got to give that man respect. You got to watch some Charles Bronson movies. Watch some Death Wish. You know what I mean? Do your research because that psychology and that knowledge is not just going to make you smarter, but it's going to help you in promos and whatnot because you know what you're talking about. So it helps JTV talent to know these people. Don't focus on all this new trash ass shit. Don't worry about no hard mics or whatever it is, magic mics. Like fuck all that. Focus on your Charles Bronsons. You know what I mean? Some of these legends, these actual legends in picture and film and music, and that made an impact. And I don't like Will Smith, but I'll give Will Smith some respect. I just won't respect him more than Earl James. You know what I mean? Uncle Phil, like man, I respect even I forgot his name. I don't know if it's Stefano or whatnot. Damn, I'm all over the place, but there's a lot of people that really deserve um just so much respect and that should be mentioned, and they don't get it. Don't be afraid just because it's not in 4K or 1080p. Don't be afraid to go back and look at some of the old shit that was dope. Look at Honeymooners, man. Okay, watch it. Great show. I was watching it the other day in black and white. Excellent. Love the Honeymooners. Jackie Gleason. Um, Twilight Zone, man. Rod Serling. Check it out, man. Good shit. There's been a lot of celebrities that have been on there. You know what I mean? Go back in time. Check out some of the good stuff. Because you don't have a lot of inspiration going on now. So you got to go back to some of the shit, the origins. You know what I'm saying? Like I like to dig back sometime and listen to the Bible, just audio books or whatnot, just to get their perspective. If this really happened, I want to get that perspective. You know what I mean? Go back, check it out, tune into that, see what it does to you. You know what I mean? And don't be afraid to light one up. Light one up for the box office hit. You know what I mean? And you're gonna see. It makes you think, man. You unlock your third eye, if you will. But yeah, you got to learn about that, man. Watch New Jack City. Watch King of New York. You should know who Christopher Walken is, and Wesley Snipes. You know what I mean? All these guys, legends. That's why I still respect Chris Rock. That's why I had such a problem with Will Smith being a bitch ass bitch that he is, going up on stage, simping and going up on stage for that bald headed ass mess that was waiting for him. Tr- being a bully, point hands on Chris Rock being professional. You're gonna slap this man. You're a bitch for that. And I hope Chris Conscience stump your ass deep, deep, knee deep, like the back rooms when he gets his hands on you. And it's gonna happen sooner or later because showdown can't come soon enough. Okay, so we got a chemical warfare building, but that's besides the point. Let's have some. Let's have some fun. I'm trying to watch my language here because this place can get pretty sensitive. You know what I mean? But I ain't PG, man. Let's have some fun. What else y'all got? I'm trying to close this damn show out. Y'all got me on the road. What the hell? I don't know what the hell. We got a whole bunch of Will Smith comments. Bruce Lee in the Hall of Fame, yes sir. Adam Connor, yes sir. John McCain for the Hall of Fame, yes sir. Conscience, copy and paste. I agree with that. Um, don't make me start talking in Spanish now. Start talking shit in Spanish. Entonces, esto se va a poner bien malo cuando me pongo a hablar español, cabrón. Voy a estar hablando malo ahí, hija de puta. Hablando español, pendejo, cabrón. What else you got? Te va a meter un sándwich por la cara, cabrón. Te va a meter una lata por la cara para que sepa lo que es bueno, hija de puta. Y'all gonna get me canceled. Chris Tucker, what the hell is this? Adam Connor says, that is all the questions I have after if JTV soundtrack will be released. It's interesting you say that, Adam Connor, and I'm not going to answer that for a reason. All I'm going to say is this year, stay tuned. Wink, wink. I agree, Shannon. It is a shame we couldn't get Maverick longer, but I'm going to bring him back on the show if BKS does not accept my invite, that is. Eventually, we got Gangster Movie Kings of New York. Yes, sir. You know what I mean? Yo, quit spamming this damn Will Smith shit, bro. Chill out. This shit is annoying. All right, I've gone to the last message, so I'm gonna get ready to close it out. What the hell is this? No Kill says JTV soundtrack is not original. Also, he can't what? He can't. Y'all mother effers want. I'm a Barbie girl as what? What the hell is this man saying, man? This man is on something stronger than what I just drank. Chill out, brother. You know what I mean? This man speaking Garifano. I don't know what the hell he's saying, but I'm getting ready to close things out here momentarily. We've been on the air for a significant amount of time. I've had a ton of fun with y'all. Honestly, I don't want to leave, but I don't want to extend this any longer. This has been a great road trip conversation. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. I want to thank my guest earlier on, Maverick, for coming on here. Look forward to having him on again. God bless every last one of y'all. I hope that your weekend is good and that everything is good with the family. Y'all be safe. Don't be toxic. Be good. Don't let social media ruin your mind. You know what I mean? Do the things that you like. You know what I mean? Whether it be gaming or whatever, do positive things. Don't focus on social media because social media will lead you right into the back rooms. You know what I mean? Where Charlotte Flair and Will Smith and all of them be at. You know what I mean? Vince McMahon is in the back rooms. Brock Lesnar is in the back rooms. Um, Jay-Z and Beyonce are in the back rooms. Hey, man, there's a lot of people that, P. Diddy's in the back rooms. There's a lot of people. Don't let it do that to you. Be positive, be strong, be good to your family, be good to those that look out for you, take care of you. God bless y'all, man. I want to keep talking, but I'm going to cut it short so we don't go on too long. At 3 hours and 40 minutes, Kevin Impact is saying good night, good fight, good day, good morning, good night for wherever you're at. And if you can, top that, amigo.